Thanks करते हैं और क्या है. Hi Manish, जैसे ही I think if people come in, so we'll, now the audience is 11 participants are 11.
Yeah, we'll just wait for some time.
Yes.
And then we'll start.
So I would like to, my name is Sanjay Banka. I am calling from Gurgaon. I am the CFO of Senco Gold. So this topic is very relevant, and I would like to thank you for conducting this webinar.
Wonderful. Yeah, which company you mentioned?
I'm working with Senco Gold Limited, a jewelry company.
Oh, wonderful.
And previously I worked with Telecom Sector. So I worked with Bharti Airtel, Hutchison, Reliance, and also Landmark Group in Gulf.
Excellent. This is really wonderful. Today we covering updates, even possibly on the telecom policy. A couple of lines from you would be very, very useful, since you have worked with Airtel and Jio also. A special
not Jio, the ARCOM, the previous avatar of Reliance Group, the ARCOM. During setup stage of ARCOM in 2002 to 2006, I was working in DAKC Mumbai.
Okay.
That was a revolution in the telecom industry.
Yeah, it was a major revolution, and no, I was shortlisted because I had a experience in telecom sector. I was working since '95 in the sector, so that was my great opportunity.
Yeah, I remember that before Reliance launch, we were paying incoming 7 rupees per minute for national roaming.
Yeah, in fact, national roaming is quite interesting. Earlier roaming used to happen. We used to call it plastic roaming, which means you have to carry the plastic SIM card for each and every city. So if you land up in Gujarat, you have to carry Gujarat card and so on. And similarly, international roaming. And we were the first company to bring international roaming in India. So I had gone to Singapore and signed an agreement with Singtel. So when the SIM card I brought at Calcutta airport, they asked for some bribe. Because I was carrying in my personal consignment. So I had to pay I had to pay penalty. My passport was seized. Because next day we had to launch the international roaming. So a lot of good story are there. So,
but that was like official kind of thing. Even if you had to pay the penalty, that was not a wrong penalty, because that was related to the product you were looking forward to launch. Yeah.
Correct. So it was important that you pay the penalty and bring the goods in a legal manner.
In 96, I was paying 32 rupees for an incoming call and 16 rupees for an outgoing call.
So that time I never got my phone in my hand. My dad would never thought of giving me phone in my schools.
Sanjay, CFO worked with in Reliance and Jio?
In Reliance, we had a person called Mr. Gautam Chakravarti. He then later on became the CFO of Gokal Das also, and he was a part of Blackstone Group. Okay. So Gautam Chakravarti came from Hindustan Lever. So in Reliance, we had multiple CFOs, like Lakshmi Das Merchant. If you ask me who is the ultimate CFO, like we call who is the ultimate holding company. So the ultimate CFO was Mr. Lakshmi Das Merchant, LV Merchant.
LV Merchant, yeah, he is in regular touch. He told me particularly about how Vodafone did accounting for the unit of depreciation method, unit of consumption under providing depreciation.
It will be great if you can bring LV Merchant to this forum. I think till today he must have hired more than 5,000 chartered accountants in Reliance.
But the quality of creative accounting, their company. Yes, and he is a master at the game. He gets advice from the top experts, but personally wants to keep a very low profile.
Yes, he's a very humble person.
Control. People said about control. So good you have worked with him. He is interacting regularly with me on various issues. Yes.
No, kindly convey my regard to him.
And the satraps in the company, right? So wonderful. We have an eminent team of experts here, including director of Adani Group and head of performances of Hinduja Group, people who have worked at senior levels, and a wonderful team of experts out here who have worked with top professional bodies. and contributed to a lot of research paper. It's a very interactive event. And Sanjay Banka ji, we would like you also to contribute to some research paper, resources, interaction on any sector, so people get more domain knowledge and cutting edge latest developments.
Santosh, good morning.
Yeah, Manish, good morning. Are you ready?
Manoj bhai, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Narendra ji.
Yeah,
Good
good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
Good
Kapil.
morning. Yeah. So,
Everybody to put their videos on.
Yeah. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Mr. Kannan.
Yeah.
Good morning, Kannan. After a long time.
Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine. You are busy with some lot of work, I think.
No, sir.
Good, good.
Nothing like that. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Your
So-
visit Chennai was successful, no?
Yeah. That Kamal 59th birthday, no? I was there.
Very good, very good.
We do
You will,
for 59th also.
when Manoj ji, when physical becomes, हम एक कन्नन का बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट करेंगे.
Certainly. Physical felicitation too.
Birthday means 60th. You know, the 60th is a very important period.
Yeah. Next,
You become
next
very
October.
young. After that, you become much more younger.
Like you, sir. Like you.
Yeah.
Sir has been more active after.
Yes. इसलिए कन्नन को भी विश करने का है.
Thank you,
We
sir. Thank you.
decade, right?
We become Aditya Agarwal, young and energetic.
Aditi is the sun who always shines.
Yes.
he will become younger. That is what he says.
सब मन में है, मन में पॉजिटिव है तो सब यंग ही रहेंगे.
Huh? You all are younger.
Yes.
Santosh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, Manoj.
Yeah, just put on a video on.
Yeah.
And today we have a very allied gathering of experts.
Right.
Manish, you are ready to start?
Yeah, I'm ready to start.
Yeah, and then Sanjeev is Ganesh Vandana.
Okay, so first me and then Sanjeev bhai, right?
Then I'm wondering, can we speak for 10 minutes on bad bank and for 5 minutes on this telecom package, because Sanjay Banka is there. And then, of course, Santosh Maller is the top expert for the day.
Correct.
No, I think that's a good idea, Manoj ji. I think NARCL is the latest, hottest kind of stuff. I think we can start with that discussion.
Yeah, and particularly Mr. Narendra, Kannan, both are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Manish, just start your own way.
Okay.
But I think as decided, I think let Manish start with that. Welcome.
Okay.
And then-
Let us start.
Yes.
Let us start with a welcome speech. Good morning, all. A very warm welcome to all participants. My name is Manish Sanghvi, Think Tank Multidisciplinary Global Platform Chapter Leader. Welcomes you all to Think Tank Global Conclave for India Growth Story and meet the expert series covering in detail IBC Think Tank, Financial Reporting Think Tank, RERA Cooperative Think Tank, FAFP ISA Think Tank, Valuation Think Tank, IPOs Think Tank and Capital Markets Think Tank as a major part of Think Tank at Vivek.Patra. Vivek in Sanskrit means knowledge and wisdom. Patra is innovative news update containing slides on sharing latest developments and real life examples by CEO, CXO, CFO, participants, specialists, and professionals with global experience. Okay, we have a think tank multidisciplinary global platform special meeting for all stakeholders in finance, corporate affairs, industry, and profession. Think tank has been in existence since over a decade. Idea was conceived on 6th January 1991 to have conferences conclave with CEO, CXO, CFO, panelists, and specialists sharing their experiences and real life examples. Our panelists are finance leaders working in reputed companies or professions since many years and have a deep domain knowledge. Think Tank platform Now Digital has got overwhelming response globally on digital mediums and expanding rapidly through LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Our participants and experts have a rich experience in industry and profession. We have done ICAEW, CPA, CFA, CFP, IIM, CA, CS, CMA, ISA, DISA, FRM, IFRS, BTech, Masters, PhD, sharing their experience, knowledge, and wisdom spreading as a reach out initiative globally through www.thinktank.co.in, and in spite of limited resources we have. Due to overwhelming response to our annual report, corporate strategy, and ESG, we have announced 60 awards and recognition, that is profit, people, planet, professionals, powerful influencers, platform, etc. for corporate annual reports, analysis, professional achievers, CEO, CXO, CFOs with a very respected jury with a rich experience in interaction with stakeholders and boards. This recognition and awards would be announced with a rigorous process of scrutiny and choice and interaction with the participants, and would be given digitally and, if possible, in a well-located auditorium in Mumbai like Yogi Sabhagriha or similar when available, subject to pandemic rules. As participants are aware, recently we have launched a much-awaited referencer, a type of newsletter appropriately titled think.tank@vivek.patra, India Growth Story, a comprehensive conference material compilation over 600 pages sharing experiences by CEOs, CXO, CFOs, and specialists with latest development and series on blocking, regulatory, frauds, financial reporting, IndAS, IBC, taxation, digital, capital markets, technical analysis, ISA, bank, audit, corporate affairs would be available for subscription, and any ethical contributions by well-wishers, etc. We will also covering important and latest development as suggested by many participants in coming weeks. Example, valuations and financial modeling, health is wealth, cyber security, blockchain, MSME, etc. We request all to subscribe Think Tank YouTube channel for watching summits, conclaves, webinars, and join, connect, and network on Think Tank webinars, group on LinkedIn and Facebook pages, Telegram channel, specially created on suggestion of many participants and panelists. We once again welcome all members and panel share few insights on Vivek Think Tank at Patra India Growth Story. I especially thank my colleagues in the digital global team, Anupam, Aditya, Ajay, Anurag, Archana, Aishwari, Hemant, Mitesh, Mihir, Malvika, Nipun, Nischal, Pramod, Praveen, Rakesh, Rucha, Pramod, R. Kannan, Manish, Santosh, Subrat, Nehal, Sandeep, Vijay, Vikas, Yogesh, and others for regularly contributing to Think Tank at Vivek.Patra. Today, we have an excellent Think Tank multidisciplinary platform seminar with eminent stalwarts and specialists sharing experiences and latest developments. Let's have an interactive event. Thank you all. So Sanjay bhai, can you start with Ganesh Vandana?
Thank you, Manish ji. Now, before we get the opportunity to listen to our well-known speakers, let's start with Ganesh Vandana. Lord Ganesha bless us all. सर्वांगी सुंदर इति सिंदूराची होती सिंदूराची कंठी जके मान मुक्ता फळांची जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती. दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ति जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति हो श्री मंगल मूर्ति दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ति जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति हो श्री मंगल मूर्ति चित परा तुझ गौरी तुमरा हो तुझ गौरी तुमरा चंदना चूटी कुमकुम केशरा हो कुमकुम केशरा रे जड़ित मुकुट शोभते बरा जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति मंगल मूर्ति दर्शन मात्रे जय देव मंगल मूर्ति
मंगल मूर्ति
गणपति बाप्पा
मोरया
लंबोदर पीतांबर पंबर बंदना हो पंबर बंदना सरसुंद वक्र कुंद त्रिनयना दासी रामाच्या वदपाहे सगमा संकटी पावावे दिवाणी रक्षावे
वंदना जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति श्री मंगल मूर्ति दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ति देव जय मंगल मूर्ति श्री मंगल मूर्ति.
Yes. So now we can start and welcome speakers Santosh Maller, who is an expert in financial reporting, IFRS and IndAS. And so we would like to welcome, and we are all eager to listen to him. So welcome Santosh Maller. And other speaker also today we have is CA Pramod Jain, who is also a Central Council member, if I mistake not, Manojji. And he is also a very good speaker. So welcome all, and let's have a wonderful session as we have it on every Saturday. Thank you, Manojji. Thank you, Think Tank webinars, for arranging all this. And welcome.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji. May Lord Ganesha bestow his blessings on all of us.
Yes.
I also, in fact, have Vijay Wadhwani, CA Vijay Wadhwani, who's a partner in Mazars in Delhi, who has since today, Manojji asked me to talk about. So generally, I, as you all know, talk about financial reporting and IndAS. But on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, that Manojji called me up and asked to cover this latest fraud, forensic standards. And I was puzzled why forensic. I'm not forensic expert. So what I did is I also, caught hold of my friend Vijay Wadhwani, who is in, of course, I'll let Vijay introduce himself, but he's basically a good friend. He has worked in both large, big fours like Ernst & Young, as well as in industry. So he has a good kind of mix of, being on the professional services side of the table, as well as from the industry side. And together we will talk about the forensic standards. We will, of course, share the presentation. Before that, just to kind of give a roundup of ever since we last met, I think it was a month back that we met. I mean, at least I presented. Of course, I keep attending the sessions other Saturdays also. In terms of financial reporting landscape in India, there have been a few things. I mean, it may not be very important to all of us, but I'll just cover it nevertheless. In terms of, we all know that the timelines have been extended for income tax, returns filings. The government is, enforces, and the government has, they have, the portal is not yet ready. So they have, they had no option, but inevitably it was, the deadlines were extended. And I think still they are working, and it became a bit of a issue for Infosys also, otherwise a very well-reputed organization. And I mean, of course, even apart from the, the corporate side of the story, there were certain, I think one of the RSS affiliated magazines also called them anti-national or something. So it is having a, unfortunately, it's having a larger implication, looks like, for the company. In terms of the deadlines for annual reports, we are still waiting for the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to extend the deadlines for annual general meetings. As we know that September end is the last date for unlisted companies to file that, to get done with their financial statements and basically their annual general meetings, and therefore their financial statements. We all know that most of the companies in India, I'm not talking about the large listed companies, but the non-listed companies in India, they generally have the financial closure looming till the year end, till the end date. And I think as for the statistics, about 70% of the companies in India have still not filed their financial statements with ROCs, respective ROCs. So in the auditor fraternity, we are very eagerly waiting for the timeline, the extension from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to have a notification. Of course, the institute on its side has extended the the UDIN generation time limits. They have announced that within 60 days you can have the UDIN generated, unique UDIN. So therefore that is some kind of a respite, although it's not an ideal scenario, but institute has done its part. So we are expecting the extension to come sometime in next few days.
संतोष मल्लर जी, एक क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ जी.
इनकम टैक्स जैसे पेपर में आया, even though extension has been given, but the interest rates will penalty will be there.
Correct.
So
correct.
If you are saying due to their package or that problem they have extended, or is it due to the demand? And if the interest is running, then what is the extension? There is no extension actually.
There is no extension, and this was, Narendra ji, typical of the government. Basically, even last year, COVID के time में भी जब भी extensions दिए थे for income tax, I'm talking, there were no relaxation or waiver for interest. So basically, what the government is saying is that you pay your SA tax, आप computation कर लीजिए अपना. Advanced tax or SA tax जो है, of course, advanced tax will be for the current assessment year, but for last year you pay your SA tax. आप government को नुकसान मत कीजिए, भले ही आप filing आप बाद में कीजिए, because उसमें तो portal ही तैयार नहीं है. तो I mean there are some teething issues, so वो government की गलती है, but that shouldn't stop you from paying the government. And Narendra ji, as you know, in India, the approach is government wants the money first. भले ही आप refund ये वो सब बाद में ले लो, पैसा हमें पहले दे दो. So that generally is the approach.
I know that way, of course, our own government that going, but just it came in the paper immediately. The reaction was there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mallar ji.
And see, this is very different from the approach that some of the matured, see, in COVID also last year, we all know that most of the Western countries came up with several relief packages for individuals and, for corporates also. I know, one of my cousins who stays in the US said one fine day, without having done anything. I mean, he is of course a green card holder and a taxpayer there in since last many years. So bank में एक credit आ गया from the HMRC. So without having to apply anywhere or having to fill up any forms, some of these countries like UK, US, they are actually crediting money in the people's accounts without asking. So अपने
So
यहाँ पे उतना
that-
वो
that-
नहीं है.
that is same thing, like not due to COVID, even otherwise, like Hong
Correct,
Kong may,
correct,
Hong Kong may, if their deficit is in surplus, means that what you call fiscal is in surplus,
Yeah.
no deficit at all,
You get a
surplus.
refund. Correct.
So portion of that surplus they distribute to all that permanent residents, as well as even those who have gone on visa, work visa.
Correct.
They will
Correct.
give it to everybody.
Correct. So similarly, even in COVID, basically, जब भी extension हुआ था in all these matured, richer countries, I think they waived even the interest also in many cases. So unfortunately, in our country, it's ऐसा नहीं है.
Oh, just yesterday, coincidentally, no, I was discussing, हमारा family का means my wife only, that senior citizens, forget about, we are of course at least in a slightly pension. Lot of senior citizens, they are keeping the money with the bank. And during this period, whatever may be the reason of the compulsion of development, the interest rates have been reduced substantially. So the inflation on an average last full year, 2 years remained above 6%, the retail inflation. Now also it is a 5.5 to 6. Actually, it is a data. In effect, inflation may be much, much higher.
Right.
Now these senior citizens who are only getting their fixed deposit interest, and if they have to pay the rental, if they have to pay bear the other expenses,
Medical
and
cost.
have
Yeah.
a reasonable life in a city like Mumbai,
It is
it is impossible.
impossible.
Now other
Impossible.
side, no, they say, okay, we are giving at 6.50 housing loan, vehicle loan, all that loan individual. Now, who would like to have the debt level increase when they cannot even meet the other needs?
Correct.
So ideally, I say, okay, for the purpose of development, bringing the Indian GDP higher, and for giving benefit to the mainly the top industrialist or the top corporate got benefited in this. But okay, when you are, because that leads to again prosperity of the country, or again they will get tax government, and that government can again incur. But there must be what you now talked about, credit coming in UK, USA,
Yeah.
for this those who are at least certain level of their income, much are below the certain level, educated also. See,
Yeah.
rural area different. Educated can be given some sustenance allowance on yearly basis or whatever.
Yeah.
That I was thinking like that. Not because even for people like us today, everything has become costly. But for some of them, it is necessary. Otherwise, some of their families, even after spending COVID and all, they are in a very bad position.
Very, very bad state. And absolutely agreed, sir. Because
Yeah.
see, today there is a statistics. I think Economic Times published this statistics that first quarter results, listed companies, I think 80% of the corporates, BSE 500 companies, are reporting higher, sales and higher profits as compared to last year. Of course, we know that last year June was quite bad, and therefore, the base itself had declined. So even if there is an increase in sales, there is perhaps a rebasing correction more than growth. So it looks like, many companies, except of course, we know that certain pockets like hospitality, aviation, they are still, and Vodafone we talked about earlier, they are still in, trouble. But except for that, things are picking up. But having said that, we know that, in the ground, if you look at, if you travel across the city, you will find many people who have lost their jobs, or, about senior citizens you mentioned.
Yeah.
So worker class, I think, lower middle class people have been badly affected. All people may not have lost their jobs, but certainly there is a dent in the salary levels.
So Manojji, I'm just because adding that, that CP market, 1,25,000 crores these companies raised at the average rate of 3.35, 3.45. At that rate they are getting, and then naturally they will make so much profit, and that consumer prices they are not reduced at all. And corporates have got a lot of money in the last 2 years, 10 lakh crores through this bond and medium term, 3 to 5 years at a very low rate. Now either they should spend something for poor people, corporate responsibility and all. Otherwise, making a few, hardly 10% of the people are enjoying 60% of the wealth of the India.
No, it is absolutely very ironical, sir, because since last 2 years, if you look at the I forget the name, the list of the richest in the world, I think more Indians have, been included in that. So certainly the super rich, like the Ambanis and Adanis of the world, have, become more richer. But at the same time, and of course, we know that in certain sections like IT and, cloud computing, startups have got crazy valuation because, of course, the liquidity is there. But at the same time, the people who are, we all know that barely 4% of Indians have, a stake in the stock market as such. So I think increasingly since this COVID episode, since last 2 years, my personal thinking is that it is looking more like a K-shaped recovery. It's not like a V-shaped or a U-shaped. It's like a K-shaped where basically certain people have become ekdam rich ho gaye.
So
many people have actually gone, below, and because of the inflation and, interest rate decline, as you rightly mentioned, it is.
So Kannan also can add me in this. My last thoda time I am advocating all these corporates and all of, including your what you call startups who through this IPO route got a lot of money. They must be told by the government that certain percentage of the profit and other things you have made, you should invest in SME, micro and small enterprise. And for you, that we'll give you some incentive or tax exemption. Otherwise, today MSME को आपने debt लेके उसको debt में आपने पूरा debt करके दिया, he cannot survive in that debt. So, but if you give him equity, he will definitely come up. So, a lot of MSME got closed. So, that is another theory I am telling. Your think tank should take up with some other place, Manoj.
Yeah,
all the corporates, all who have made a lot around good profit in the last 2 years, if the government says like they are getting PLI scheme, वो सब उनको देते हैं. MSME को आप only loan देके उनको under the emergency credit में इसमें loan ही दिया है, और वो दो scheme है 20,000 and 50,000, that has not picked at all. So MSME को थोड़ा अच्छा देख के government ने, even they can give a guarantee to the industries that you invest the money and for 6 years, 5 years. So the MSME will come because 50% of the exports and around 40% of the industrial output, they are contributing, and we are not encouraging. Sorry, Santosh, thoda matter aage udhar side gaya, but
so this is
so this is the one two aspect is gaining my attention. I am just thought ye occasion mein share karenge. Okay, you continue.
Narendra ji, in lighter vein, you are writing your name as Narendra M. What does M stand for?
M to aap Bhagwan de
very big name. Under your leadership, we can suggest to the government.
M is a place name, man. Don't worry. Nothing M. M is a place name called Mairpadi. MAIRPADY. Yeah, some of them who know me very well, they know that place.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Continue, Santosh.
Santosh ji.
Okay. So so the topic for the day. So I just wanted to kind of give a monthly roundup, so to say. Now, so basically today, as I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about this forensic standards. Vijay Wadhwani is of course there. I'll of course let him introduce himself. So friends, this forensic has of late become very important aspect, and there was no standardized way in how do you do forensic study or investigation today. Ever since we know that Satyam ka jabi, when the fraud broke out about, I think it was about 10 years back, maybe more, there was a forensic study which was done, and that point in time, before that, basically while there were investigation, forensic services used to happen, but the media, the limelight came post Satyam as to hua kya tha usme. So basically forensic and investigation has come a large way ever since that. Today we know that SEBI has mandated the listed companies that whenever there is a forensic appointment of a forensic accountant, it is a market sensitive information and it has to be reported to the to stock exchanges within 24 hours. So forensic study is gathering a lot of it has become much it's much bigger than what it was 5 years back or even 10 years back. And also we auditors, statutory auditors keep shouting at the top of our voice that we are not forensic accountants. So very often the shareholders or the stakeholders or analysts confuse the statutory auditors to also be there to detect the frauds. Okay. Now, of course, there is a expectation gap and all that. Of course, that's a different subject altogether. But we as statutory auditors, we have always maintained that our primary role is not to find or detect frauds. Of course, incidentally, during the course of statutory audits, if we come across any suspicious activity, we will have to, of course, CARO and all that, there are reporting out there. But the expectation is that true and fair view of the financial statements. So, in all this, the institute has basically issued this fraud and this forensic and investigation standards. Basically, it claims to be the first. I have not checked that statistics, but the president, the institute's president, mentioned in his remark that this is the first time that a country is issued standards on forensic standards. So again, that looks like quite monumental kind of a change. We have, as I said, Vijay Wadhwani as who's basically he has dealt with certain investigations and forensic matters. So I'll just hand it over to Vijay and I'll keep chipping in the middle. Over to you, Vijay.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, thanks, Mr. Manoj ji, Santosh for taking me in this group and among so many eminent personalities. And I've been listening to the discussions. What's happening between Santosh and Narendra ji. So thank you very much. And Narendra ji, one thing regarding thing which you were saying that in FD we get only 4 or 5% rate of interest. So for you, the government, state government of Tamil Nadu has come up with the bonds for 1 to 5 years, and they are giving interest rates between 7 to 8.5%. And since this is state government bonds, so there might not be any issue of converting this into the bad debt. So you can see that one also. Okay, now coming to so just to give a brief background, so I qualified CA in 2001 May, and I'm based in Delhi. My all schooling and education has been in Delhi only. And since 2001, so I've been practicing, with known Big Four. So I was there for 10 years with EY. And since then, me and Santosh were friends. So though Santosh was in Mumbai, I was in Delhi. But still there was some connection between both of us. And till date also, we keep on communicating on various matters, various technical matters rather. And so I spent 5 years in industry also. So I was in corporate finance for Minda Industries, which is Uno Minda Group. And during that tenure, so I used to handle ethics committee, whistleblower mechanism, and used to get the forensic done by various consultants. And currently I'm in Mazars. So in North India, Mazars is collaborated with SN Dhawan and Co LLP. So I recently joined them. So this is my brief background. And coming to the forensic standards. So let me open the presentation.
Welcome, Vijay.
Yeah, thank you, Manoj ji. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah, so right, Santosh gave the background. So it is all started with Satyam. Prior to that, there might be frauds, but we were not aware. So Satyam basically opened our eyes. There can be big frauds in corporates, even with the eminent personalities as their promoters or directors. And recently, in last 4 or 5 years, also we have seen a lot of cases where auditors are also big names and so no one could question them that there, or rather think that there might be fraud in those kind of corporate entities. But somehow, so there were frauds, and that made our government to rethink about the Companies Act and various other laws, not only Companies Act, but various other laws with respect to the punishment and all. So Companies Act, the first time the definition of fraud was introduced in the Companies Act, where if you see the definition of the fraud, they have very specifically stated with the intent to deceive. So if anything wrong is done with the intent to deceive, so there should be intention to deceive. So it doesn't include anything, so if any mistake happens or something like that, so it has to be intent. So intent to deceive the company, it may be wrongful gain or wrongful loss to the company, wrongful gain to a specific entity or specific persons. But those wrongful gain or loss also, they have defined that that has to be legally entitled. So tomorrow, no one can go to the court or no one can go to the police if they have that any person has done fraud on the company or any person has done fraud on me, and I have incurred a loss, or rather he has gained, which are not legally entitled. So if those are legally entitled, then only it will come under the definition of the fraud. Otherwise, from the company's perspective or from the financial reporting perspective, these things are not considered as fraud. So Santosh, anything on this definition, specifically intent and then legally entitled?
This is always a tricky area. Yeah, Manoj, carry on.
Yeah, Vijay, those people who have access to resources like bank signatories or cash, many times it starts this way. They feel they have some compelling reasons. They will borrow for a few days. Borrow means not with accounting borrowing. They withdraw the money from the bank or from cash, and they will replenish within a week or a couple of weeks or maybe a day. Right. And at that time, and then something happens, you are not able to do. Amount is quite significant. Then is it a fraud or it is not a fraud because it is mentioned intent to deceive? Of course, there is undue advantage and they don't repay.
No, so here also there is intent to deceive the company because you are using the company's fund where you are not legally entitled. So
but there was no intent to deceive. They said we will replenish within a couple of days. Whether a bank signatories, it could be $1 million or it could be 500 rupees also in cash.
No, this is deceive only. So if you are using anyone's fund without any knowledge of that company or without knowledge of that person, and you are incurring wrongful gain of which you are not legally entitled, that is also intent to deceive.
So Manojji, two examples pop up in my mind. One is we all know that, in India, we have had several instances, unfortunately, of chit funds doping people, where basically they used to collect money from, this was, years back when before this public deposits came under, the ministry, there were regulators. Of course, today we have regulators for public deposits. But long back, and I remember when I was a kid, there used to be companies where they used to take, deposits from public, and many of them used to invest in, resorts or, forests and, things like that. And many of them have, unfortunately, doped a lot of individuals. So, and likewise for chit funds also, where basically any chit fund or nidhi kind of a fund, you have the ideas of mutuality, where you have, you collect money from people and you lend it to certain people. Now in that also you can have certain teaming and ladding kind of a thing, where basically of course the intent is it can get into a fraudulent zone also. The second example is a more sophisticated example. What comes to my mind is that of this derivative fraud which happened in in Hong Kong. I think it was Nick Leeson, the person who got arrested and sentenced for that, where basically what he was doing is that he was dealing in derivatives, where basically he was, he had, so of course we know that in a bank, when you are taking a derivative, it's for risk management. It's for basically hedging your risks. Now, when you discovered, and from whatever I could gather from that case study, was that what he used to do is, because certain positions were going wrong, not as intended, he used to take counter positions to correct that. Now, in that, in that process, the decision which he was trying to, the mistakes that he was trying to hide initially went, he went so far ahead that overall it kind of ballooned into a big, derivative fraud. So I think intention perhaps in the beginning may not have been, fraudulent or that to deceive, but basically you're covering up for something, in which case, to meet that end, you're, taking a wrongful position. So I think it can get into a fraud, domain, as Vijay said.
So undue advantage is more important, very clearly.
Yes, yes.
So, sir, wherever there is undue advantage, so definitely there will be some intent.
And also injuring the interest of the company and its shareholders.
Yes.
Or its creditors or any other person.
Yes.
There were cases reported where the company's personnel operating their own company and using the funds of the company to pay the taxes. So there are cases then. So why, I mean, this requirement of standards felt by the council of the institute? Because there was swelling number of frauds, especially in recent 10 years. And moreover, the questions were raised on professionals. Like Santosh was telling that all statutory auditors were considered to be the fraud finders. So many questions were raised on professionals. So like ED or, I mean, this all regulatory authorities were behind the all auditors basically. That what were you doing? Why didn't you capture any fraud? Or whether you were also, I mean, in connivance with the person who have done fraud. So many questions were raised on professionals. So I believe this is the right step by the ICAI to bring the standard also on forensic, so that the regulators also know what is the responsibility of the auditor, what is the responsibility of the FAIRS person. Various agencies involved in the investigations. So if you read this compendium, so this time they have they have considered various regulatory authorities as stakeholders. So while drafting these standards, they got this comments from various agencies. And then recently, because this forensic investigation assignments becoming hot topics, and many of our professionals, chartered accountants, are doing the. And till date, there is no standard procedures or standard processes that are steps to be done, and how the report should look like. So every firm or every professional is preparing a report or doing this fits assignment as per their own standard. So there is no, I mean, standard format were there, and not standard procedures were there. So the institute thought that this is the time for bringing comprehensive set of forensic standard for professionals, because this practice definitely will grow. Because now we are in.
Vijay, why the institute took so much time for that, even though this is a trend for the last 5-6 years, and it's not time only.
So I believe the discussion started somewhere in 2011-12 when IndAS was coming. And in 2020, they finalized that okay, they will come up with it for so many years. But of course, which I know that discussions started some way back in 2011-12 when IFRS was coming into India.
That is correct. Okay.
Perhaps, sir, I think after ILNFS episode, I think they may have got a little bit of a pressure from the government to come up with this.
And it is also very strange indeed that the committee called DAAB is coming out with the standards rather than a proper accounting investigation committee which has people with domain knowledge in that. Digital is supposed to look at other things. So this shows functioning of the kind of involvement and the depth which can be covered. Of course, it is not yet announced. Possibly they'll evolve, they'll improve upon.
So Manojji, while I agree that you at the institute level, perhaps they don't have a committee or a standing committee which looks into fraud. And see, frankly, as I said, forensic and fraud has typically not been the CA Institute's domain as such. institute we associate generally with auditing, accounting, tax, and maybe indirect tax. So this, and maybe company act at best. But fraud investigation, traditionally, if you look at it, even if you go back in time and recollect our CA curriculum, even today we don't have forensic as a as a subject in our CA exam. So it's not traditionally a chartered accountant's domain, although of course many of the enterprising chartered accountants have made their careers in forensic. Perhaps I'm just guessing, Digital Accounting's Board, DAB is basically Digital Accounting and Auditing Board. Basically, I think perhaps the thought is that most of the frauds today are happening digitally. So including the bank, frauds in the bank, on the, hacking of the, servers of the banks or ATMs, etc. So perhaps that's why they could have probably given that, mandate to DAAB. But yes, increasingly, I think we need a special focused group on, forensic and fraud. Internationally, of course, you have those. Vijay, what is that exam called? This certified fraud examiners. So it's
there's some exam certified for forensic.
So it's a different, it's a different exam, different institute altogether. So I think that is where they will have to perhaps either rediscover themselves, or they will have to broaden their remit to an extent.
Right, at least somebody in DAB took the initiative. That is admirable.
Correct.
And then he gets a chance to come out with the standards after proper studies.
Yeah.
What is the full meaning of DAAB?
It's the Digital Accounting and Auditing Board, which is
it is again just like Institute of Chartered Accountant.
It's a subcommittee of the. It's like an accounting standard board. Jaisa hota hai.
Same way.
So it's within the ages of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So they have a different. So
correct.
The way you call accounting standard board is Vaisai Digital Accounting and Auditing Board.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Narendra, I had the opportunity of having a conversation with the chairman of the DAB yesterday. Very good conversation, initiated long ago, and Mr. Dayaneva Sharma was very happy with the multidisciplinary platform discussion on this topic. We are the first to do it across the globe, and incidentally, these forensic standards, forensic accounting and investigative standards, India is the first country in the world to come out with a proper guideline and standards, which after discussions will be notified.
Yeah,
they say around and these are guidelines. Standards. Yeah, we'll be at the forefront of the India growth story globally.
Right.
And we'll be having a series of events on this. This is a first event immediately after the book was published and a copy was available. So we always cover latest developments. We said we will do it at a expert panel level, and we'll take it forward, deep dive into each and every chapter in the future with the support of the DAB. They are very happy about it.
The instances of fraud in especially post-COVID, sir, is it's exponentially increasing, both at corporates level, frauds also, and even individuals. I mean, the number of people's accounts which is getting hacked. I mean, of course, not just the bank accounts, but even the social media accounts has exponentially increased. And because, of course, during the COVID times, most of us have actually, embraced technology and digital, medium. But this is actually a very serious concern as a country also. I mean, the instances of fraud is on an increasing path. So it's about time that we have such, steps.
And because one of the purpose for bringing such kind of standards after so many frauds is to win the confidence of foreign investors. And these are
also at the IBC level, the bankruptcy board, they are involved with appointment of forensic auditors. So they are also very keen that there are proper standards and guidelines to be followed. As of now, there is chaos and the state of affairs is not very happy as the JP at the joint parliamentary level. Mr. Jayant Sinha mentioned that they are not happy with the objectives of IBC. So there are lots of issues in that, and appointment of forensic auditors. Here some kind of users and stakeholders are involved to some extent. Maybe they have some benchmark to look after.
So Manoj ji,
deliberations.
Manoj ji,
Your views, Mr. Narendra, on this? Yeah.
Manoj, there is a 28th of this month between 4 to 7. There is a conference I am conducting or a webinar on the IBC at 5 years and what is the way forward. So the matter what you are referring, the Parliament Committee of Jayant Sinha's that report, that also one of the subject. Of course, what he was saying is that is because Jayant Sinha himself has a lot of knowledge and other members. That yesterday Supreme Court also said that that 330 days should be the upper limit, and there cannot be further extension. These various litigation, other side, this side, all that, by the corporate debtor or the bidders, and bidders also cannot change after once they submit. That is also another matter came, and similarly, of course, that once corporate resolution has been taken place, then the action against the personal level that can continue, promoter level, and that is where the personal guarantee issues also are there. So this delay, what they yesterday Supreme Court also said, if the 330 days like that, similarly the earlier insolvency law could not properly achieve the objective, mainly due to these delays. So they are very particular that here that 180 days, maximum 220 days or 270 or whatever, and maximum 330, it should be now done. So I think this will be taken note. And another issue was that Videocon and that what do you call the Twin Star. That is also another issue where that is where the code of conduct for corporate credit, your what do you call secured creditors. There is an approach paper by the IBC, and other side for liquidation also, or the resolution. I think resolution, they are also suggesting switch challenge method. And even in liquidation, you can sell that as a going concern. So this is a big matter. All of our members, if they attend that program on 4 to 7 on 28th, there will be a lot of 10 speakers. So
and companies need to cooperate also with the external agencies, like the Pricewaterhouse resigned from Reliance group, Anil Ambani ADAC group, saying that they are not getting cooperation from the company, and subsequently also the credit rating agency also downgraded and saying they are not getting proper cooperation from the company. And these are companies where forensic audit has been ordered by various stakeholders, whether it is COC related or banker related or internal related, or at the instance of the statutory auditor or the internal auditor or the rating agency, other stakeholders. So there are lots of live issues connected.
Oh, absolutely, Manoj. That is so the specific example that you mentioned, Reliance Infra, PwC, resigned because of suspected fraud or whatever. But then the new auditor, incoming auditor, they gave a clean check. They in fact went, they mentioned in the report that there are no frauds. So I think again, the issue of standardization of, how you deal with certain situations from the institute's side is quite important. And also in the case of IBC instance, I think Narendra ji, in IBC also, I think in the process, they mandate a forensic investigation if it's above certain threshold, right? 500 crores or something.
Yeah, not only that IBC, this is the Ministry Department of Financial Services, that all accounts above 50 crores will have to be looked at from the fraud angle. Yeah. And against that fraud angle within the knowledge or through the forensic audit. And when that report comes the consortium bankers or the who are lead bank along with others will have to take a call. And after the call, if that is proved that it is even a small account in a single bank, they have to look at from the committee of general manager, including the vigilance department. And if it is found fraud, they have to file with the investigative agencies.
Correct.
So, and in the other case, that section 29, what is that? 29A, I think that will come into effect.
Yeah.
So the corporate debtor will not be eligible to participate in the bid.
One important thing from financial reporting, which comes in last week after the AGM, the next day, if you look at the Bombay Stock Exchange website, there was a update announcement from one of the large infrastructure company, Reliance Infrastructure, where they are talking about a revised audit report being filed subsequent to the AGM. And in that case, also there is about a polling institutions have voted against adoption of accounts, and over 57% of institutions have also voted against the CEO.
Yeah.
No, so I wonder how can a revised accounting report be filed? They had missed up on lots of notes to accounts, and this is actually related to an issue related to a forensic issue, where a debenture trustee was involved, and a company has given a 3,000 crore guarantee for in case of RHFL debenture holders, where IDBI is a trustee for secured debentures. And revision of accounts, how does it take place?
So revision.
What is the process? You know, auditors, are they involved? Are the board involved? Is there a separate committee? Is there information to the exchange beforehand whether revised accounts will be considered? So there are lots of areas, you know, these are sudden shocking developments for the profession.
Indeed, Manoj, and you shared the links on WhatsApp, and I kind of browsed through it. Absolutely right. This is kind of shocking. See, generally in normal course, what happens is Section 131 of Companies Act comes into picture whenever there is any revision in accounts, and it can only happen after approval by the from the NCLT. Now, of course, we know that this is a IBC case, and therefore, IBC court supersedes the general provisions of Companies Act. Therefore, they may have perhaps taken the approval from the COC, but the shareholders' resolution is also equally important. And I think the proxy advisory firms all oppose the adoption of financial statements. So it is, again, a kind of I would say a monumental thing. I've never ever come across instances where basically the members, the shareholders are voting against the adoption of financial statements. I mean, Vijay or anybody else who would have, Manish or somebody who would have seen, but generally shareholders objections comes for managerial remuneration of CEO, or for some kind of a demerger or a merger approval. But financial statements ke adoption ke liye, this is, I think this is the first time that I have seen. Vijay, I don't know if you have ever come across such.
No, Santosh, I believe this is the first time. I mean, shareholders are raising objection on the financial statements, because normally what is considered if the auditors have given a report, whether clean report or qualified report. So no shareholders generally questions on the financial statement.
Correct.
And one more important thing, Vijay, it comes out, if you see the Z Enterprises AGM, which was held last week, that one of the vocal speakers mentioned that he wanted to speak in the Reliance group of meetings. He was not allowed to speak because he had some questions. And people are alleging that the company is having planted pliant speakers, just a few of them, to get the resolutions passed. Is this a way corporate governance works or should work, although the promoter may be having good intentions?
Such thing happens in every company like this. I tell you, I am from the industry side. We have conducted AGM also, and I have attended AGM also. So both the sides I have seen. The same class of people in Mumbai speaks in every AGM. And to be
Ashalata, Maheshwaris, and and all those.
And after the AGM date, these also all people come and visit our offices.
And Manish,
to collect something.
No,
Santosh,
just
you are right. You mentioned a name that Maheshwari was the first speaker, and there were several professional speakers. They wanted to speak, they were not allowed. And incidentally, it came out from the Z Enterprises meeting, which was a very spotlight because of resignations of some directors. And there also aspersions have been cast regarding forensic issues. Ultimately, now they have hopefully they'll have a better board after the AGM, which has been demanded by institutional shareholders with 17% stake. That is another major corporate development. And hopefully the corporate India will get cleaned up.
No, but Manish, so Manoj ji and Manish ji, see, I agree that, but increasingly such instances for getting reported are increasing, right? See, 10 years back, Manish bhai, 10 years back, ऐसा कुछ होता तो nobody would have even spoken about it. It would have been a normal thing. Correct.
Correct.
Because of the proxy advisory firms and the media and all that. Of course, I'm saying media is also
played a big role.
But at least हमको पता तो चलता है because of all these little bit awareness has increased in all these things.
So Santosh इसलिए हो रहा है because now most of the AGMs are happening online.
Correct.
Otherwise तो जब physical होता था तब आपको ये सब पता भी नहीं चलता था कभी.
Correct.
Exactly, Vijay, that's very important. Online are there, so many people are participating.
I tell you my another experience. I have attended 2 AGMs of Monsanto Chemicals, a very big MNC.
Multinational,
Multinational. अब तो शायद वो Bayer में merge हो गया, right? I tell you, the chairman who was chairman for almost 15-20 years, he doesn't answer anything. The CEO says, okay, we'll look into, we'll see into, we'll reply to you, we will do it, we will do this. There is no absolute answer of single question. And the salaries are worth crores. So I personally believe AGM में सिर्फ 1 घंटे के लिए chairman and managing director, CEO only say nothing for 1 hour because they feel shareholders can only say something for 1 hour. Rest the whole year is our own. So I personally feel there is no corporate governance and all these things. I'm telling you my experience of 2014-15, not 10 years back or like this. It's a multinational company.
Talking about agrochemical sector, you talk about Monsanto. Kaveri Seeds is also in the sector, and Kaveri was also in the spotlight on forensic issues.
Yes.
There have been regulatory inquiries also, and of course, operators are also involved. And there are accounting, financial reporting issues also.
Correct.
Good, we are doing a deep dive at the initial stage of the standards brought out by DAAB.
No, but I believe so. Maybe standards are coming. Maybe these are not mandatory as of now. Maybe 6 months down the line, they will be mandatory. But there is a big challenge on the skill set. So normally what is happening, so like we chartered accountants who are basically the auditors, they are doing the forensic. So similarly, some lawyers are doing the forensic. So, but there is a skill set issue, I mean. And I believe because of the skill set issue, people are facing much more problem. Even if you hire some forensic consultant to find out the actual fraud, most of the cases, I mean, they came up, we couldn't find anything. And I can tell you the live examples. So suppose if you know, or there is some whistleblower that your person at manager level or DGM level, he is earning much more than his salary or his wealth is much more than his yearly package. And if you hire some consultant, because as per rule, you cannot get their bank statement. If that person is not providing the bank statement, you cannot ask the bank to provide the bank statement. So there are practical challenges also. So there are only certain people who know that how to extract the bank statement from the banks. But again, that is not legal. So there is skill set problem. There are procedural challenges also in carrying out this forensic transactions. Assignment.
You have to be a sleuth to do forensic investigation. You don't get rights and privileges. You have to be a sleuth, right? James Bond. Mr. Bond.
So what happened? Then consultant do not provide the report in their official manner. Then sometime in WhatsApp, sometime in physical form. So
This is what investigation is all about.
yes, yes. But if anyone complains that consultant has extracted my bank statement illegally, then that consultant will be in suit tomorrow. So it is very difficult to carry out such kind of investment. And from the management perspective, because I have seen both the sides, from the management perspective, it is also very, difficult to counter the person.
No, and Vijay and Manoj, what I have generally seen in practice happening is it's all about the scope, right? Because unlike in an internal audit or a statutory audit where the scope is predefined, forensic का जो scope होता है, that is not, that is what the management, the board, or whoever, the bank or whoever is appointing the person would define along with the consultant, the forensic auditor. Now, oftentimes what I have seen in practice is कि जिस साल गड़बड़ हुआ है, and there were, of course, it's all in public domain. Like for example, what happened in the Jet Airways case. Okay, there was a forensic investigation which was carried out by a reputed firm, and then after the report was published, there was an outcry that इसने तो वो कुछ fraud गोयल के खिलाफ कुछ लिखा ही नहीं, and then after a few days they came up with a defense के जिस साल हुआ है certain transactions or alleged transactions हुआ था वो हमारे scope में ही नहीं था.
Exactly.
For example, अगर 2007 या 2008 में हुआ था, the scope was defined in such a way by the board for whatever reasons that you look into the transaction starting from 2010. So now with these standards, and again, one of the reason I welcome the standards is because such things need to be ironed out कि scope कौन decide करेगा, board जो appoint कर रहा है या COC या जो भी है, the lenders who are doing it, or somebody has to be objective in laying out the scope, because once you fiddle with the scope of the forensic, then it's as good as the thing that you lay down. कुछ आएगा नहीं अगर आप ठीक से scope नहीं lay out किया.
Yes.
But basically, scope should start from the date of disbursement of loan, right? Not from the date of defaulting the loan. I have seen in some cases where like heard from people that the scope starts from the defaulting of loan. Basically, why the bank have to order forensic audit to find out where the money has gone, whether any money laundering transactions have taken place or the company has made a genuine loss, correct? So basically it should start from the disbursement of loan.
There was a corporate development related to money matters. So fraud take place before the disbursement of the loan, before the sanction where bribes are paid. And such companies are bidding for distressed assets and NBFCs. They want to take over the companies.
That's true.
क्या नाम क्या है sir?
Money Matters. It was a listed company. The company's name is changed, and it is all reported. And SEBI has also taken appropriate action long time back. And such companies are now bidding for assets of the companies which are revising the accounts. More of it will come soon.
So even I have seen cases in IBBI where the value of land and building is more than, say, example, for 250 crores or 300 crores. And IBBI given that company for, say, 100 crores and without any liability.
That's true.
Vijay ji, that your two valuers, again approved by the insolvency bankruptcy by the exam, in every case, they have to give the valuation, and that valuation when they do, there is a what are the distress sale or what is the intrinsic value, all that, and finally the price is given in such a way, then that of course is not known to the bidder, but that is known only to the committee of creditors, and naturally that time maybe that bid comes like that, and they have to follow all the guidelines, and NCLT, if he finds that that is the only builder, they have to do that. Otherwise, alternatively, that is a better one, is liquidation, and the value of the property will get such good price. That the committee of creditors should say, no, we are, because here the value is through the land and building, not by the economic value of the business. And economic value may be to the extent what they have bid, that what you are talking. So it should be said that we would go by the liquidation and get the realization.
So normally we keep on hearing cases which are big or big names, but there are many small cases or small company cases lying with IBBI, and their settlement, if you see from the auditor perspective, so if you're seeing from the valuation, so suppose if they have got the company of 750 crores, and while auditing, you also get the fair valuation done, and that comes to 250 crores, and that company was sick company for last 20 years. So there was no business in that entity. So there are a lot of things happening at the ground level actually.
And
so Narendra, you
just
mentioned
for your
about,
information, what the IBB chairman is saying, all those, some of the legacy cases, they are all BFR cases. And by that time, now it has come to IBBC, there is your CIRP, there is nothing there. So he feels that whichever cases which had a fair value and all, out of that, if the settlement is there, in the last year, he was saying that is the recovery is around, or what the resolution is around 45%. And this year, it has come down maybe around less than 40%. So that is the way in which we look at, that is what, if you see his, even article came also, he feels that each one looks at from his angle and say, IBBC is not at all successful. But you have to look at from the, what you call the realizable value of the assets, and against that, what is the assets or the realization, instead of looking at what is the claim and what is the realization. That way, if you see that percentage is very low.
So Narendra, you mentioned about valuers. We are going to have a deep dive as a part of a continuing series on a valuer and actually how it is linked to frauds also, undervaluation, and one of the team members who has experience as a global head of ArcelorMittal, a global company, is also contributing to that deep dive. And
one more, it may be in a smaller way I'm telling, but as a responsible professionals in the institute or means your CAS also, we have enough cases where, and similarly valuers also, some of the time, maybe in the anxiety of business or whatever, because somebody said no, only after the loan, but for loan also, some of the data given or the balance sheet given are all what you call without any base, and such of them in audited. So there are quite a lot of responsibility at all stakeholder level. It is not only from the corporate debtor level only.
Right.
What do you agree?
Manish,
Agree,
joining from
Vijay ji, we
Singapore.
agree. Everywhere थोड़ा गलत है, सभी जगह में थोड़ा. हाँ?
Definitely, नरेंद्र जी आप एकदम सही बोल रहे हैं.
हाँ. Because आपने बताया ना, बैंक को देते वक्त फिगर बैलेंस शीट है ना, सभी कुकड़ के दिया, उसके ऊपर बैंक ने, और वो प्रोजेक्टेड भी ऐसा, तो बैंक ने फाइनेंस दिया, बाद में देखता है उधर वो सभी लॉन्ग ही है.
But I tell you one thing, again, it's a one experience, like this kind of standards don't not mandatory. Such things are very good that future things will at least set right.
हाँ, वो जरूरी है.
My first experience in 1995, तभी नया quarterly results देने का चालू हुआ था, अगर आपको पता हो तो, याद हो तो. Like I was working in a listed company, and you know, we used to make a quarterly results to be submitted to BSE. I used to do it with my chairman. Just over a cup of tea, we used to get a revenue figure for the quarter, and we used to make a bottom line figure. And the rest of the things I and my chairman used to fill over a cup of tea. And I tell you, literally, it has happened 4 to 5 quarters. My chairman says, Manish bhai, avi jao cabin ma. Quarterly results cha pita banavi lahiye. Like, come to my cabin, we will prepare the quarterly results, just having a cup of tea or coffee within 10 minutes. So you can tell me, you can understand from that thing to today's position.
So
Things are really good.
मनीष जी इसलिए I was means yesterday वो postpone हो गया अभी 25 तारीख को. There is a one that no one lecture I have to give. What is the responsibility of CEO or CFO and all? So what makes them CEO and CFO? तो मेरे लिए ऐसे सोचने में एक आया that in company where the CEO or the CFO finds that there are now some of these things what is happening are not according to the transparency or accounting or disclosure or all that, and he finds a lot of irregularity. How many of our CEO and CFO are boldly can come out, and now with this all that tightening they will come out, but otherwise maybe some of them just were bearing and it must have resulted in a big fraud. Am I right or no?
Yes, you are right.
Yeah.
Mr. Narendra,
things are improving.
the requirement for the CFO, you remember we always discuss about 6 P's.
Yes.
It is not only profit and
Correct.
not only purpose, which the Global Unilever chairman mentioned. It is people and planet and professionalism also.
Correct.
6 P awards which we are going to give to annual reports and professional appropriate deliberations, and not wheeler dealer award as some other organizations have been giving.
Just I want to say, Kannan here.
Yeah.
So because of all these frauds happening and other developments, now regulation is also catching up.
Yes.
Because generally 90% of the time, regulation is reactive, not proactive. So based on these incidences, like one of you mentioned, after Island Affairs, they started focusing more on forensic audit. I know in the last 4 years, all the big four, they created big teams for forensic audit. And like Dr. Narendra said, they started, banks also were asked to look into loans which are more than 50 crores. Actually, it has become a big business for auditors now. And I would be very, very happy to hear what Mr. Wadhwa presentation. I'd like to go through the presentation. One more thing on this frauds. In fact, the shareholder activism has become very intense in the last 2 years, especially in the last 2-3 weeks. What we hear, or maybe in the last 1 month, the kind of shareholder activism what we have seen, we have not seen before. So that is also forcing companies to act diligently.
Correct.
And e-voting, which was brought by government, where earlier, like one of you mentioned, if you go to any AGMs, you'll find hardly 15-20 people. Out of that, the 10 people will be the Asha, Lata, Maheshwari, and 9 other people who are there to praise the management. So only 20-30 people used to attend. Now that e-voting has come, that has really made especially the minority shareholders as well as institutional shareholders very powerful, which is not the case earlier. Yeah.
And then proxy advisory firms are quite active in last couple of years.
And yesterday or day before yesterday, in that financial market conference of CAI, that our SEBI chairman has said that this activism is in the interest of the minority shareholders. So they are also observing this SEBI, what is happening.
Correct.
Yeah, that was a wonderful conference. And besides the SEBI, there was NFRA regulators also and deliberations. Mr. Narendra, can you share about that? What NFRA is doing a wonderful work.
Yeah, of course, I am not an authority, but nor I could, that's why I asked for that recordings of that conference. But National Financial Reporting Authority, in the light of these various fraud, that is the new organization started by the government of India, and now they are fully empowered to go through each and every what you call audited balance sheet of the various companies, and at various their parameters they pick up some of these balance sheet and that get it completely examined, and after examining, if they what are their observations and what are the irregularities they found in arriving at the final balance sheet, and whether it is a true and fair view, or is there any hidden misinformation or fraud. All that they are now going through that, and such report and their observations I think they put in the website of the NFRA, and that may be very negative for such companies, and that may also reduce their even valuation and the branding or whatever their trust of that companies. Apart from that, NFRA has been the chairman of, I think, Mr. Sridharan, which I saw in the paper that he's mentioning that suppose they are authorized to do a special investigation team, report on these various fraud and other things, but they are not empowered to take action. Now, ideally, what they say is it should become a center point for all accounting reporting frauds. This NFRA should be given the full power. Otherwise, by merely reporting to the MCA or to the government, that will not serve. So he has been now, and I think there is some committee report also, which has been made public, some TAC, or I'm not fully naming what is that, but you must be knowing. And that of course, your Institute of Chartered Accountants Presidents found that these recommendations and other things report are all maybe without the involvement of the institute it would have come. So they are not so much, but it may be. But I find by Manoj saying that almost all the other chartered accountants, they welcome their NFRA getting the power, and it becomes a lot of transparency. And even top 4 or 5, your big auditing firms also had some issue with the NFRA in some of the recent bigger audits and all. So that is where now you must be knowing Reserve Bank also came with the guideline for audit of NBFC and corporate your banks and all, and they have prescribed the necessary rotation also, the maximum number of such audit you can come, what are the eligibility for the auditors, and similarly if they have any other vested interest in the company or the associates or subsidiary, then they cannot take up. So I think now lot of opportunity come to other medium size audit firms which are of reputed their work and their all that with the good background or reputation. Now they are being considered for the most of the NBFC and even the banks. So NFRA, I think over a period of time come as a central agency in terms of what you are now talking about, these frauds and your in the accounting parlance, misreporting, all that will come in the they may get the power to punish. This is what I read in the paper.
No, that's very encouraging, sir, and it is very makes us very people like myself and Vijay quite optimistic also. So Manoj, as much as I am enjoying this conversation, I'm just being conscious of time. So maybe just Vijay, if I can just before I'll leave the last few words to Vijay, but just to kind of wind up this session. I think overall the standards, as we all have agreed, that this is a very good step by the institute. Of course, time will tell how. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So the standards are there, but how you apply those standards will actually determine how the quality of investigations and forensic accounting improves.
Santosh ji, in brief, you or Vijay know, I saw somewhere Google में report में 8 standard है, 8 standards. Now, as suppose you would have done any forensic report earlier, what you would have followed certain methodology vis-a-vis these 8 standards. What are you finding? Because there is other way, that Companies Act amendment and all, lot of things are disclosure, all that has come. Now even MCA I think has prescribed lot of new rules for auditors, So many things are happening in the last 1 or 2 years now.
Correct. Narendra ji,
So what is the distinction between what you would have followed and these 8 standards? That is very important.
So I'll just answer in like 2-3 major points in my experience, and of course Vijay can also add. In my experience, they have articulated the difference between an opinion and a fact very nicely here. So increasingly earlier in the forensics that I have seen, not that I have been a forensic practitioner or as such, but generally what I had seen is the distinction between observation, that is the facts, and the opinion of the accountant was very blurred. Because Narendra ji, if you look at fraud, now it's not my business to define fraud as a forensic accountant, it's the court. So in India today, even Satyam is, the court has not established any fraud. So whether I'm finding anything as a fraud or I have some fact finding, I have some collated some facts, observed certain things that can lead to a fraud or it's a suspected fraud. The crux of any forensic engagement is whether you have what do you conclude after all? Is there a fraud, or have you observed certain things or pattern, certain pattern which can lead up to a suspected fraud? I think that they have attempted to define in this in one of the standards the distinction between an opinion and a fact. And of course, that's also not, I mean, there will be still gray areas, there will be still judgmental areas, but that is something which I think is a very well articulated thing. Ultimately, Narendra ji, ये सब जो इन्होंने standard भी लिया है, it is from one of the big fours forensic guidelines only. It's not that के अलग कुछ है ज़्यादा.
Yeah, उसको एक shape up दिया.
उसको एक structure दिया है, exactly.
Structure दिया.
वैसा ही किया है.
I saw that what they say is as a forensic auditor, you are not supposed to give any your judgment or that, and what they feel that you are not giving opportunity to the corporate debtor to give his opinion on that, and you have arrived at certain things of and even the secured creditors, and you have made some account as a fraud, and they feel that it may not be the fact. So as you rightly said, you said the court is there, somebody else is there to pass discipline, what you call the judgment. How can you arrive? But you can bring all the facts, you can transparently and very without any bias and without any ambiguity. That is very important.
Second point is, sir, that while this is a pronouncement from the institute, it is a binding only on the members of the institute.
Right.
We know that today, and as Vijay and Manoj also mentioned that we know that bulk of the forensic auditing and investigation exercise today in India is carried out by not the chartered accountants but the lawyers. Right, so you have many reputed firms who have got into IBC तो करते ही हैं, legal firms की ये भी करते हैं, forensic auditing भी करता है, because there is a fair deal of legalities also involved, as you would expect in forensic investigation also. So ideally this should have been come. Now we know that accounting standards in India or auditing standards also are now pronounced under the Ages of Companies Act 2013. So what I would expect and rather hope is that this becomes not just a pronouncement of the institute, but also of a larger, maybe an IBBI or one of the authorities, which is or NFRA or somebody who kind of adopts these standards and makes it compulsory for all the forensic reports issued either by a CA or a by any other professional. So that perhaps is the way forward. But at the moment, it looks like it's only a binding on the member, the CA, the chartered accountants who are performing the investigations.
One thing, I got an invite where I think it was from Ernst & Young, where they were inviting that forensic team. They are inviting actually the people who are handling this investigation, legal people in the companies, as well as the compliance officers. Maybe they are company secretaries. So like it was mentioned, not only auditors, but now I think these auditing firms which are built strength of 300, 400 people and
Yeah.
forensic team, now they started focusing on speaking to these lawyers also.
No, absolutely. No, Ernst & Young you mentioned, both I and Vijay were like part of Ernst & Young. We are kind of, it's our alma mater after all. So we know for a fact that out of that 400 that you mentioned, maybe around 300, 350 will be like ex-CBI, ex-police officers. Very few will be chartered accountants.
Okay.
So forensic ke liye, the core skills, and Vijay mentioned about the skill issue also, the core skills that are required is very seldom. It's very rare to find it in a chartered accountant typically.
Yeah.
So that's the other point which I was, talking about, that this should be not just a mandate for the chartered accountants, because as a matter of fact, very few CAs would be doing actually forensics on a relative scale. So ये actually कोई एक NFRA या किसी को adopt करके, it should be mandatory for all the forensic reports, fraud reports, rather than only confining it to chartered accountants the way it is at the moment.
And
Yeah.
I was also told that whenever these assignments are taken up in the work group meetings, they even involve people sometimes from finance ministry, CBI, and all these related agencies, regulators. And one of you mentioned about Jet Airways. I believe some 5 regulatory agencies were there in that meeting to discuss that. So it is not just only auditor doing the audit. Like you mentioned, people were from CBI or police or intelligence. So they are also being employed after the retirement. So it is not just the auditor who is doing the audit. I believe they have a multidisciplinary team which looks into it. Apart from that, in the working group, they actually involve existing officials to discuss those aspects. So that maybe Mr. Vijay will be able to elaborate it further.
Yeah, so these standards, as Santosh stated, are mandatory as of now for our professionals who are the member of the ICAI. But it is stated in the preface, unless and until these are made mandatory by other regulatory authorities for all people who are doing this assignment of forensic. So for them also, it will be applicable then. And regarding a skill set, like, so normally, so if you see our internship level, so in internship also, most of the people do internship in firms where normally audit and taxation work is carried out. So I hardly see any of intern working for forensic department. And today, of course, there are some 3-4 big firms who are handling this forensic practice in a very large scale. But otherwise, if it's mid-sized firms or small firms, if they carry out the forensic assignment, most of the time CS will be involved in that assignment. Even in mid-sized and small firm, there are no lawyers.
Okay.
So Big Four, I know Big Four, or rather say Big Six, Big Seven, they hire some people from CBI, they hire some people from ED also. But in case of mid and small firms, you will hardly find any lawyering itself.
Okay.
So that I'm saying that it is a growing area. So like all CAs now are focusing on doing valuation course or IBBI course. I believe this is the time to go for forensic course also.
Yeah.
And this will not help only in India. This will help rather internationally to our professionals.
With the codification of the standards, in fact, there are huge professional opportunities for chartered accountants along, in a multidisciplinary professionals all getting together. And of course, the community can also benefit.
Exactly.
And be a deterrent to see that in future they are reduced.
Right.
Yes. So from our
All
professional
detected in a
perspective,
timely manner and reported appropriately in a timely manner.
so we should see it as an opportunity. And Manojji, like yesterday you were, speaking on no clerk. So that also if comes, so that is Code of Ethics paragraph from 260 to 360. If that comes, that put more responsibility on professionals who are member of ICAI.
Right. NOCLAR is yet to be effected.
But that is too, I will say, too onerous for professionals. I mean, even it says ki if you feel that nothing is working out, you should resign.
Good morning, everyone. Dushyant Shah here.
Good morning.
You know, I was,
Dushyant.
good morning. I was just listening to all these views from all Mr. Narendra, Mr. Vijay and all that. So my, one thought which is crossing my mind is that with this standard, what will be the impact on the commitment of frauds? See, the detection is the second thing. Detection is always the, after event. Now, what will be the desisting kind of a mechanism that the frauds by itself are reduced?
Right.
So my take, sir, is Dushyantji, is that isse fraud kam nahi hoega. It will not affect the perpetration of fraud by the people who otherwise would have carried the fraud. What it in fact is intended, and perhaps the end result will be that as a forensic investigator, my approach to a forensic engagement will be codified. It will be, if I am found guilty tomorrow of not having followed certain standards which the institute has laid down, I'll be found guilty. But it shouldn't affect the instances of fraud.
It is rather to safeguard our brand or to our image.
Yeah, so ultimately, it's unfortunate parties that all these efforts, even though they are on the what you call in a right direction, but then the main problem remains, and the fraud, while it is being committed, it should be coming to highlight, or the people who are committing fraud, it should be made very difficult for them or very costly for them. So something to be done on that direction. That is where the overall it will help the profession as well as the lenders also.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in that direction, so code of ethics by our ICAI, so which I was speaking about, no clerk. So if that comes into the picture, that will definitely reduce the number of fraud, or that will at least bring the fear to the mind of the people who are doing, professionals who are doing the fraud.
So one more thing, in the Companies Act, it is very clearly mentioned, those who really profited, if it was found that they had made profits, it can be taken back. We know the cases of Mr. Nirav Modi and Mr. Maller and all that government was able to repossess. And similarly, the fraud relating to markets, now SEBI is very, very tough, and they started putting penalty and all that. But as far as the question on whether the frauds will stop, as far as the humankind is there, I don't think frauds are going to stop. And people are very innovative, and they'll find new ways of making things difficult. But only thing, the regulation has to catch up. But as the regulation progresses, I think at least the scope of doing fraud or recovering the money from fraud, I think that will certainly improve. That is my take.
Yeah, exactly, Kannanji. What you said is perfectly, because the human mind, or I would say rather criminal mind, they are either equally or even better than the normal intelligent person. Their intelligence is, much par excellence, and they always devise new ways of committing fraud. And once the money is siphoned off, how it can be recovered. So no amount of efforts to highlight the fraud and to detect the fraud will help bringing the money back. So somewhere, some mechanism has to be devised, and that brings the lot of responsibility on the lenders, that to monitor the end use of money.
I would like to acknowledge Mr. Rajkumar Adukia has mentioned in a chat box. I think there is a hand raise.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Wonderful to have you here.
How are you, Mr. Adukia?
As a council member, 9 years, and you have been on the boards of several companies. Would like to have your thoughts on this vital issue of NFRA, the event we had a couple of days back, and lots of top auditors from top firms supporting NFRA, and lots of issues on this forensic standards.
Welcome, Adukia ji.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, Sanjeev. See, first I would like to give.
Welcome, Rajkumar ji.
Narendra ji, thank you so much. I saw in the participant list you are there, and We are very happy to see that you are actively participating.
Yeah. मनोज हमको बुलाता है तो हम आते हैं.
नहीं, ये आपका प्यार है. On the knowledge side, Narendra Saab, I have not seen any other ex-CMD participating so much. There are many. So this shows your love for the profession and love for...
Rajkumar ji, all the CMDs are with me. Name any company, private sector, public sector, global sector.
चलो हम अभी विषय पे बात करते हैं.
बात में Rajkumar also does a lot of programs and all. Let us hear.
Yeah, he is regularly interacting, and we have one candidate at a time in an event, and it is very good to have one candidate and with a lot of knowledge regarding NFRA and also a commitment for further development work in a professional body.
Yes, we'll hear, sir. Aapka.
And he's written many books also.
Yeah. See, on first, I would like to speak on forensic audit. The forensic audit, I like to call this forensic audit as a forensic investigation, because the whole purpose of forensic audit is to get the money back to the organization or the individual who is affected. So the person who is doing an investigation, that person's job is as early as possible to find out who is the person who has done a theft or a fraud, and what are the means by which it can be recovered. You know, there are provisions under many laws where search can be done, seizure of the defrauded amount can be there, the criminal action can be there. So that is one, and the forensic investigator, the word forensic comes from a science, it's like a laboratory test. So we have to be very clear when we say what is found out. We cannot say that this may be there, that may be there. This is one on forensic investigation. Now another request has been made to me about NFRA. Now, we know that NFRA is created under Companies Act 2013. The 8 years have passed. We are in 2021. And Section 132...
Okay, your video is on, no? Can you just check your video is on? Yeah. And the presentation is also on? Yeah. Vijay?
So, NFRA, Manoj and friends, my view on NFRA is NFRA has been created after a lot of, the institute's views that NFRA should not be there. Institute has been regulating. We remember that on 1st July 2017, if I remember exactly, Narendra Modi ji spoke about the disciplinary mechanism of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. So I have been there in the institute as a Central Council member for 18 years. So I personally feel NFRA is not a lion or an animal which need to be afraid of. There should be a conciliation between institute and NFRA. The whole purpose of NFRA is to catch big fish, where sometimes the institute takes a lot of time to take action. See the NFRA report and institute report. I also represent before disciplinary committees, in last 6 years when I was not holding office in Central Council. And, those who are in insolvency practice like Mr. Narendra and few others, see the IBBI, how quick they come out with a decision. Like yesterday, I was reading, they have come out with one insolvency professional. So they may have done, more than 20 cases to my knowledge. So we need to be very fast. The institute need to be very fast. So slowly this will settle down. Our president has put a remark, lessing out. Now it has to be done by dialogue. So, and about the standards on forensic, see, forensic is without any boundary. Their standards will limit our approach to forensic. So, and the international level like ACFE, which is the world leader on fraud, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and Mahatma Gandhi, you know what he said?
SB account number. SB account mention.
Mahatma Gandhi said,
And one or
code
two
is
missing
given
is some
for
case.
the
Two I'll mention.
need of
Oh,
everyone,
thank you.
but not for greed. Till the human being is on this planet, fraud will happen, and of the larger amount, because the technology access. So what we need to, you know, the opposite of fraud. Fraud is like giving a medicine, forensic audit. Our focus has to be on fraud prevention. It is there in the internal financial control. You know, section 134, subsection 5, clause E. A very beautiful definition of corporate governance, which says that every organization needs to have fraud preventive measures. Fraud happens because of collisions. Those who are responsible for control, they connive with other people. So I'll stop here because there are more to be spoken by the and other participants. Thank you.
बहुत बढ़िया, very nice.
Very good for you, Rajkumar ji, to come and share your views, particularly about your 18 years of experience in the council and interaction with NFRA, and nothing to be afraid about. Rajkumar ji, can you share your thoughts about what came in the Hindu business line and Money Life article also regarding what is happening and differing views?
On what?
Not have a dialogue rather than do it
on
via a small time business papers.
Manoj, on what? No, I'm not aware. I have not read those news, Manoj.
Money Life came with an article, and Hindu business line also came in an article regarding these issues.
On what issues?
Regarding NFRA issues and the views of some of the council members.
Well, what I would request, Manoj, what I would request, and what I have spoken, NFRA, it is not a thing to be afraid of. So I will stop my comment here. You know, I am very positive and optimistic person. NFRA is doing their role, Institute is doing their role, and there has to be a reconciliation.
That is very good. That is a very good about reconciliation, dialogue, interaction, mutually.
And we should focus on learning what the newspaper says, what others says. I think my focus aim has been like, you know, Arjun, we have to look at the eye of the fish, how we can learn, how we can improve our skills, and how we can render better services to the society.
Right. Can we have the next presentation? Manish, you are ready?
Aapka, Mr. Manoj, both of them have left now. They have some other work.
Yeah, Manish is there. Manish, now is the main presentation on valuations. And till Manish does, Mr. Kannan,
ask Manoj, you can ask Kannan to talk now.
Yeah, Mr. Kannan, can you share a few thoughts on the bad bank? The latest development this week? NARCL and the Finance Ministry's Finance Minister's speech and your views on the same.
Yeah. So it's good that the IBBA came. Like Dr. Narendra was saying, last year the recovery rate of IBBA was 45, and this year he says it will be less than 40. But compared to earlier resolution regimes, where we had SPR, we had SARFAESI Act, and compared to that, our recovery rate was very high due to two main cases, the two steel companies. But coming to this bad bank concept, the first bank was set up in India called ARCL. which was a collaboration of many banks in India. Already we have about 28 such banks are there, bad banks, called asset reconstruction companies. But what government found, one of the issues of taking over these assets is that when these companies they want to go and acquire, there's always a question of valuation. And especially in public sector banks today, no senior person wants to get into any controversy regarding valuation. So there is always a difference of opinion in terms of valuation of the assets, which these 28 ARCs wanted to buy and what banks wanted to sell. That was an issue. So actually this bad bank, if you ask me, it is one form of government injecting capital into the banks. But only thing, government is not putting money up front. As you're all aware, one of the strategies government has followed, I think already we have a bad assets of about 10 lakh crores today. 10 lakh crores. Out of that, the concept for bad bank is that 2 lakh crores will be taken over by this bad bank over a period of 5 years. In the first phase, they are thinking about, I don't know, I think it was in the webinar organized by Dr. Narendra, where it was mentioned that most of the public sector banks, they are already given a very high provision for all these bad debts. So in the first case, actually what is happening is that the 100% provision made, 90,000 crores, those will be the assets which will be taken over by this bad bank. And also to make sure that the bad bank will not require a lot of capital to do this. What will happen is that the 15% of the value of the 90,000 crores, that will be injected in the form of cash by banks. You know, the bad bank will have an equity of 51% by public sector banks and remaining 49% by others. And also it is not just the bad bank. They also set up a company which will manage these assets. If you ask me, wherever there is a sickness, if the companies have got real assets like land, like buildings, then actually the valuation is much higher. We all know if you go to public sector, out of 260 public sector units, maybe only 50-60 are making profits. The remaining 200 companies, they are sitting on a huge tract of land. And of course, public sector companies, they don't under this. It's government and all that. So the 200 companies, they are sitting on a land. Similarly, if you look at companies, even when this new legislation was brought out, I had given a lot of interviews on the TV as well as my articles came in the papers. My estimate was that we could recover 50% at least. In fact, when IL&FS crisis happened, I said that IL&FS was the leading developer of power, leading developer of roads. They had 40,000 megawatt of power projects. They had a lot of road projects. Like that, if you looked at that, my estimate was out of 95,000 crores, at least 65,000 crores to be recovered. I think that is the latest conclusion which people have come to from IL&FS, they can recover. Similarly, what is required is, if you go to banks today, why they are not able to manage NPAs? All these officers are very well trained in giving credit and of course collecting it. But the skills required for turning around companies, they are not there. In fact, I don't know whether I wrote in one of the articles or my blogs saying that the public sector banks should create one division. It will be like a mini Big Four, yeah, of consultants containing chartered accountants, management graduates, domain experts. So at least each big bank can afford to create a team of 100 to 250 people, and they can go into this bad assets and see how they can turn around. So that is a concept now, which is coming now when we talk about a bad bank. Government is also creating another entity. Once these assets are taken by the bad bank, then getting value out of it, it will be the responsibility of the second entity, where it will be staffed by skilled people. Maybe they should recruit people from chartered accounting firms or consulting firms. So there should be a multidisciplinary team where people have exposure to operations management, they have exposure to marketing management, there are experts in financial management. So it should be a mini consulting kind of firm, but with expertise on valuation, and they should also consult. I think right now government, when they talk about the monetization of infrastructure assets in India or real estate through the form of REIT and InvIT, I think they are taking the help of all these real estate consultants, Cushman Wakefield, Knight Frank. All these people are working with the government and doing this. So actually, this form of creating this bad bank, what will happen is that now already they identified that 90,000 crore will be transferred. So there will be the amount, and government is willing to chip in. So 15% of that will be cash. Banks will provide the money for the 90,000 crore. Remaining 85% will be taken as a security receipt. So that security receipt, as and when you recover the amount from the asset, then that receipt will be extinguished and the money will go back to the bank. So that 15% money also will come from the banks which are selling the assets. So this is a good scheme if you ask me. Whereas the disadvantage of existing private sector asset reconstruction companies are, like I told you, question of valuation and bankers hesitating to transfer assets at a low value. At least now they have decided that 90,000 crores will be transferred at 20% value. All that will be done. And government has promised 30,000 crores as a guarantee. If you ask me, instead of injecting 30,000 crores as a equity capital in the banks, if a government has injected 30,000 crores, the bank's ability to lend would have gone up by 3 lakh crores. So it is equivalent to 3 lakh crores of easing, which government has. So that much of money is like an investment for, it will be an investment in the books of the bank, the 15%. The remaining only is the amount which has to be collected. If you ask me, this is the kind of system which has been adopted by, in fact, in China, if I remember, China, they created 4 such entities, the 4 largest banks in China, all of them are in the top 50 in the world. So each one created a ARC, and they transferred assets between 9 to 15% of the value. That is how they did the resolution. There is a big paper by an institute called National Bureau of Economic Research. It's a government body by US government. So there you will find even 50 articles, 50 reports by our Dr. Rajan also. So such leading articles you can find in the nbr.org. So where they have discussed about how they resolved the issues in China. So we have started with one entity, but this is going to cover only 2% of the banking system. So remaining 8 crores is still available for the 28 other players to come. But what I was reading in Economic Times today, saying that it is going to create a lot of interest among investors from abroad. There are many funds across the world which are focused on investing in distressed assets. So those funds are likely to come. And one good thing is that as of today, and they are saying that the scrapping of this doing business report by World Bank also going to create a better sentiment towards investment in India. So what you will see, already there is interest by many of the large institutions across the world to come and invest in India. Now, India bond has been included in the bond index of the world. So all this, it augurs well. And the last 2 months, I was always speaking in webinars that if at all government can go and do things which can be path-making reforms, only this government can do, because we are one of the strongest government in the recent past. If they can go on implement reforms like GST and demonetization, then this government can go and implement. So what I am seeing in the last 2 months, the government has been very, very decisive in their decision, starting with awarding a contract to Tata's for manufacturing military planes. Then, of course, reversing that retrospective taxation. So, I am seeing a series of announcements by government today, which are very focused on implementation of policies. So, this NARCL is also one of them. And this is going to resolve at least 2 lakh crore of debt. One good thing is that the beginning 90,000 crore already written off by banks. Anything you recover from this 90,000 crore, it is going to add to the bottom line of the public sector banks, which means public sector banks are going to do well. But only other precaution is that we all expect, like Dr. Narendra was saying in the morning about SMEs, large companies have done well, but medium and small companies, they are still struggling. So we expect, in fact, all the credit rating agencies are expecting that the NPA from the SME segment is likely to go up from the present level. And plus, as Dr. Narendra suggested, if we all remember, when Maruti came to India as an automobile company, Maruti went and invested equity in at least 15 to 20 small auto component companies. So that time these companies are only 5 crore of the size. So today some of these companies are 7,000 crores and 8,000 crores. So that is a very good idea from Dr. Narendra, where government can request the companies which are making huge profits. In fact, the concept of supply chain financing and channel financing, when I was working in ICAI Bank about 17, 18 years ago, I told the bank that they have to start looking at supply chain and start and ask big companies to give guarantee to their suppliers and dealers. So that concept picked up very well in the entire banking industry. You all know the concept of supply chain financing and dealer financing is very popular now, where the guarantees are given by the large companies. So one more idea, like Dr. Narendra said, the large companies which have a large supplier base, what they can do, they can take up equity in these companies. Yeah, that is one. And of course, as of today, when RBI said that they are not very, very, they are not very gung-ho about improved capital expenditure by private companies. So they feel still capacity utilization is low and all that. But we can only wish that this COVID goes away very fast and these large companies reach capacity utilization of 75%. And,
thank you very much, Mr. Kannan. Wonderful analysis on bad banks and also the role of various industrial houses and industrialists. And good to see that COVID, whenever it goes, protection is coming, and we have achieved a record yesterday, over 100 crores. And the discussion will continue. Manish?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
With
Give me one minute.
Insights on valuation with live examples.
Yeah. So first we want to see valuation, right? Not the public issue.
Yeah, and continuously live example of various companies, including valuations and IPOs later.
Okay, done, sir. No problem. I will share my screen. Just 1 minute. I'm unable to open my PDF file. Can you see this file now? Can you see the screen? Zomato fundamental valuation analysis.
No, we can see the folder.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
can
see
click
the
on it,
folder.
it will come. Yeah, we can see the folder.
Okay, okay. You can see now, right?
Yeah, we can see. We can
Correct.
see. Yeah.
Actually, I am with a new laptop today, so there is some issue. Thank you. Thank you all once again to join this. I have prepared, before some days when Zomato IPO came, we did some analysis for investment or not. And what I did now, I kept some same slides and added some new slides from various websites, reports, and the targets given by so many brokers and financial institutions, and what people think about Zomato, because Zomato is the first kind of company in its startup industry which has come into the market, listed on the stock exchange, and this company future will make a way for other companies for their valuations, for their listing on the Indian stock exchanges. This is our normal, the team details, normal disclosure, disclaimer. This is the company name, Zomato. It is a Delhi-based company, but it's actually operating from New Delhi, operating from Gurgaon, and there are, as such, officially there are no promoter in the company. Company is professionally managed by many people who are termed as a founders. Even recently somebody joined in 2015 also, termed as founders as per the red herring prospectus. This is the company, about the company. The company was incorporated in 2010 as an online food service platform in terms of value of food sold in 2020. It's basically a B2C offering, includes food delivery, dining out services where customers can search and discover restaurants, order food delivery, book a table, and make a payment for dining out at restaurants. While under business to business segment, it generates the revenue from Hyperpure, and it has a Zomato Pro customer loyalty program. It has a good network. Network as on December 2020, they have almost footprints across 23 countries with 131,000 active food delivery restaurants, 161,000 delivery partners, that is the delivery boys. And average, they have a monthly food orders of 10 million customers. Even during 2021, Zomato recorded actively 32 million average monthly active users, of which 6.8 billion monthly transacting users place transactions. It is in India. It is present in 525 cities with almost 150 lakhs restaurants and 170,000 active delivery partners. They have good strength. This is the number one company, the largest company. Maybe Swiggy is there, but this is another larger company. These are the strength of the companies. Business model is, as earlier it is stated out, it's a food delivery, dining out, B2B offering, and like that. This financial data taken from the prospectus, one can see they have made a loss. In 2019, they made a loss of more than 1,000 crores. In 2020, they made a loss of 2,300 crores. And in 2021, they have made a loss of 816 crores. So if you see, they have all in last 3 years, they have lost almost 4,000 crore rupees. Their net asset value as on 2021 is just 15 rupees. I believe there is no much borrowing in the company now. The share data is little bit old, but the current market price is 150. Rather, I think it's 132 right now. The face value is 1. Lifetime high was 150. Their book value is 10 rupees. There is no promoter stock. There is no PE ratio because it's making a loss. Return in equity is also negative 12%. These are the major events as per the prospectus that 2011 they have raised the funds first time. Then in 2015 they launched a food delivery in India. They launched a table reservation and Nikon these things. So if you see 2022 latest, they have acquisition of Uber India assets of Uber India business from Uber India, like Uber car. They had a Uber division for similar business of this. So they Zomato. So Zomato acquired Uber business in 2020. These are the breakup of profit and loss account for last 3 years. One can see that other expenses is very high in 2019, which was 210% of the revenue, which has come down to 1,528 crores. That is 72% in 2021. That this is the reason of reducing the loss from 2019 to 2021. What I understood, the major cost of other expenses are marketing and advertisement expenses, which they have reduced a lot in 2021, maybe because of pandemic, or maybe they have achieved some kind of sales target where they felt that now this kind of expenses should be reduced. Their cash flow is always negative. There is no, so basically then when cash flow is negative, one will feel from where these people are getting money. So these people are getting money from the investors, and time to time from 2010 onwards to up to 2020, they have raised the funds to run the business. These are again return on net worth is also negative. In 2020, it was 113% negative, and 2021 it is only 10%. So public issue aane wala tha. So they have, I think, managed the figures, or they have managed the things. These are the revenue and cost drivers. The revenue drivers are food delivery, dining out, B2B supplies, and Zomato Pro subscription-based software.
What is the size of the opportunity, Manish? Which territories, which states, and can the company go global with its platform with multiple product and service options?
They have not given, I believe they in prospectus, they have not given the, area-wise data. They have given a whole data pertaining to the whole country. But I would say, though they are in 23 countries, their 90% sales are, or 90% revenue are from Indian territory, and balance is, I believe, from UK and UAE or US. There's 3-4 countries are there. Otherwise, all 23 companies, 23 countries where they have, have some presence. I think they have a presence, or they are just trying to, come out with some business, because their quarterly result says the segmental report very clear cut. We will show you that also. So, they are this kind of revenue model, revenue drivers they have. One can understand that. I as a investor, I simply understand that these people have a software from where, you go inside the software and you order the food from the restaurant you want. These people will deliver the food. They will take the money. They will basically passing the share of to their restaurant, and balance amount is their profit, from which they manage delivery costs, they manage discounts, they manage all advertising and marketing spending. This is what any investor like me or you will understand, correct? They basically say average order value has gone up from Q1 of FY20 to Q4 of FY21. Q20 was definitely, all quarters of 20 were bad because of pandemic, but they have improved a lot in 2021. Maybe there is a psychology that people doesn't want to go to the restaurant, and they want to use an app like Zomato and Swiggy, and they want to eat at home, safely home atmosphere. That could be the reason. Or the other reason is the company is really making a good progress.
Is this after a discount? The company has given, discount of up to 50% at the time of the IPO. So lots of people, including startups and students, were very happy. They were ordering huge meals during the IPO phase at 50% discount.
नहीं, ये order average order उनको value शायद ये after discount भी होगा, because उसका जो average order है वो after discount ही होना चाहिए actually.
So people ate double at the time of IPO.
You can.
The average order value has not gone down. Or this is pre-IPO. Data is pre-IPO.
Yeah, this data is pre-IPO. But if you see Q4 and Q3 of FY21, which is a December quarter and March quarter, they have relatively a good, good orders basically.
So in the price volume game, post IPO, particularly in IPO period, many people will be wondering whether the net revenue has doubled or it has halved because of 50% discount.
Let's see. We see quarter results also.
But Manish, just a minute. Yeah, you can just show that revenue chart. Yeah. See
this one?
No. This one. See, the revenue chart very clearly shows the impact of COVID. The thing is, the first, the lockdown came in the March end. So essentially, this, this first quarter of 21-22, it clearly shows the distinct jump, something like more than 35% jump, and more or less it has remained there, slightly gone up in the last quarter. So it indicates the impact of these lockdown, and that would have helped them in a kind of a habit formation.
Correct. I agree. This
Yeah,
is all,
and talking about discounts, I believe now earlier they were giving discounts from their side. Now the discount game has totally shifted to the restaurant.
correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
and they took the advantage of this, again the lockdown, because in the lockdown period the hotels, restaurants were remaining closed and they were allowed only for delivery. So these people made them give discount from their side, and they reduced discount from Zomato. So Zomato in a way gained in both these fronts. One, the revenue went up. Second, the discounts from their pocket has gone down.
करेक्ट, बिकॉज रेस्टोरेंट में बैठने का जगह ही नहीं था तो लोगों ने जोमेटो यूज किया है.
Yeah. And they were
Perfect.
desperate. The restaurants were desperate, so they agreed for giving discounts from their side.
करेक्ट. वो फिक्स कॉस्ट निकालने के लिए they have agreed all discounts from Zomato.
Yes.
Agreed. This is the contribution from the gross order value. We can see this quarter-wise. In FY 2020 first quarter, they were making losses basically, and if you see the last quarter, they are making a profit. Same way, Dushyant bhai, आप जो बोलते हो ये, this is the issue of
Correct. So that
lockdown effect.
yeah, the shifting of discount to restaurant has helped them to get contribution.
Correct. They are into this.
This is a strategy for pricing, corporate entry strategy. At least they are not giving goods free. They can buy goods from the restaurant and give it free. This at least they are not doing. Like some of the telecom service providers did it free to get a major market share in spite of severe competition.
Correct. Exactly. But if you see the FY 21 figures, they are making money. Correct. They are making money, at least.
Yeah,
contribution is going up.
Yeah, contribution is coming.
And they have a very good cost optimization strategy. The way they are engineering cost, outsourcing it, and a very good optimization of strategy with very low fixed overheads.
Correct. See, this is the reduction in other expenses. Their advertising and sales promotion expenses as a percentage of this has gone down from 88% to 24% as a total of income.
Again, the discount.
One way you can see a discount, one way you can see a advertisement, because advertisement, sales promotion primarily includes platform funded discount, marketing and branding costs, from a customer appeasement cost, and refunds made to restaurant partners.
Yeah.
So as you say, major would be a discount and refunds made to restaurant partners.
Correct. So sales promotion expense has reduced a lot.
Correct.
Most of the promotion is through digital mode, and due to the compulsive behavior of the consumer sitting on their mobile phones and laptops during the pandemic. So
Correct.
very low cost digital strategy go to market.
What happened?
When the print media revives, we'll have to see. Of course, they gave a full page ad in the mainline papers also for their IPO. So why cook at home? Why don't order for the whole month? So print media also gained lots of money post IPO.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
I lost my screen actually.
Yeah, we can see that last one, that advertisement expense falling.
I lost my
screen. Yeah, we can see.
I don't know what I did. 1 minute, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't see this.
શું થયું મનીષભાઈ, શું થયું?
મને ખાલી તો આપણે 3 જણના 4 જણના નામ સાથે ઓલા દેખાય છે. I can see on my left this mobile the screen, as you see, I can see only 4 photos, myself, yourself, Manoj bhai and Kannan bhai का नाम आ रहा है और कुछ नहीं आ रहा है मेरा.
Sharing this PPT sharing on.
हाँ, एक मिनट में वापस उसको शेयर करता हूँ सर. मैंने कुछ तो गड़बड़ कर दिया. You can, okay, I can see now.
Yeah, it has come.
Oh, thank you. They have a lot of intangible assets, brand, consumer, technology platform, distribution. Why I put this? Because just to understand that अगर कोई ब्रांड खरीदा है तो उसको भी ये लोग एसेट बना देते हैं, कोई टेक्नोलॉजी प्लेटफॉर्म लिया या कोई डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नेटवर्क लिया. So suppose I feel that if they take some database from any company, they just put it to fixed asset and capitalize it. Even, you know, restaurant listing platform from the various organizations, they must be buying to, you know, to put it into their own software so we can see it. So I just put this intangible assets slide just to take that what kind of intangible assets these people have. Generally, the manufacturing company doesn't allow, they are not allowing to capitalize such kind of things, right? So this is the comparison between
Very
India,
interesting. Yeah, very interesting chart.
US and China. If we see our population, India is 1.36 billion, US is 0.33 billion, and China is 1.43 billion. If you see internet access, we have a 43%, US is 88%, and China is 63%. But if you see the market, online food delivery market, India is 4.2 billion, US is 21 billion, and China is 90 billion. So forget about US. If we compare with China, we have a very big scope for 4.2 billion to at least go to 15-20 million easily, 5 times from here, maybe in next 5 years. This is really very interesting figures, because if Zomato goes, or even Swiggy, if they goes into like a 2-tier, 3rd-tier, 4th-tier cities, or very small towns also, their business will increase like anything. So I personally believe this slide which encourages investors to put money into this kind of companies. What do you say?
Yeah, Manish, see, the thing is, looking at this slide, you know, it is very clear that the market is not that penetrated compared to, say, China and US. But if I have to say something why it is so, is basically it's directly the function of the level of economic development of the country. In a sense that when you want to order out, you know, when you want food to be ordered from outside, number one, you know, the cooking at domestic cooking has to be on the lower side, and number two, the income level should be up. So in China and India, what has happened is that because of the industrial development, you know, even the ladies also has a lot of you know, there a lot of ladies are employed. As a result, you know, since gents, ladies both are out, so the food is definitely ordered from outside. So in India also, even though the at present level also is very good compared to our economic condition, and as the economic development progresses, I'm sure our Indian these food habits will change, and this outsourcing will progress.
Yes.
But it's a very slow game. It's a very slow game. It is not a game of, you know, like I'll give an example. If you remember when this Pepsi came, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, that Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they couldn't break the habit of Indians having a fresh water at the time of a meal. And they had to finally enter into a water segment.
Perfect.
Like Bisleri, they had to come in a water segment, you know, they had a bottled water segment. Similarly, if you see Cadbury, the Cadbury, you know, kuch meetha ho jaye campaign is running for last 15-20 years. And Indian habit of having a sweet at a good occasions, you know, Cadbury has not been able to replace the way they wanted. So the efforts are on. Like that, Zomato also will continue to have their efforts, but I would say it's a function of the changing, you know, the habits, food habits of the Indians.
with the in line with the economic condition.
Correct. But this is a very good slide to understand about the industry, right?
Yes, absolutely.
One thing I never understood, I just put it for everybody's information. That they say that, they have issue price
તું ખોલવાનું કે બોલતો હોઉં તો તું મને કહે જરા એક સેકન્ડ આપ જરા ચડીને કેમ બોલો છો એવરી ટાઈમ
મેં ખોલ્યું. Please mute yourself, Dushyant.
It's like I could not understood that they have issued on 2020 a share of 1 rupee face value at issue price for equity share of 1,53,000 rupees. ये एक्चुअली मेरे कभी समझ में नहीं आया कि 1,55,000 एक शेयर का वैल्यू कैसे हो सकता है. So, and that is into cash, not into the some kind of barter system में नहीं है कुछ भी ऐसा. So this is the slide which I could not understood. Similarly, they have given a bonus to all the shareholders. Like this, the bonus issue in the ratio of 6,699 bonus equity shares for every one share held just in April 2021. एक शेयर के सामने 6,600 शेयर सामने बोनस दिया है.
This is a very important slide. See the type of money the promoters have made multiplied. 1 rupee becomes how much? Over 1,55,000, right? Very important slide. This shows the potential of startups in India.
Yes.
The kind of freedom they have got. Thanks to the government and thanks to the India growth story.
Yeah.
The government has been encouraging the India growth story. And now latest is come today that there will be GST, Zomato and Swiggy will also pay. So first let them grow. Right? Let them grow. Let them create market cap. Let them create wealth. Let them create opportunity, seize opportunity and make it significant. So tax collections can be significant when they start, and hope the tax rates are reasonable. As the GST Council has been doing, they met yesterday also, and they came out with reasonable recommendation in terms of changes.
Correct. These are the list of investors in this company just 10 days prior to IPO. We can see that InfoEdge, NARCL India, has highest number of shares of 18%. And I believe
NARCL has been one of the earliest bird in the digital space.
Correct.
And which has nurtured this company.
Correct.
And see the quality of investors. See the quality of investors.
Yes, there are
sites about valuations, and they have many of them have made a big money in private equity startup space.
Perfect. So many acquisition has been done by the company.
This is the future of the company. This was just a small list, and now Baidu is also now growing through acquisitions.
Correct.
And this company has also acquisitions on his plate.
Yeah, because if they have to for inorganic. Correct. They have made lot of acquisition in last time.
This is very important where the funding money comes from. Baidu has been raising several rounds and still unlisted, and they want to get listed on global stock exchange, doing many acquisitions, and here also they have got lots of money in the IPO for further acquisitions, big ticket acquisitions.
We can see that they have, they have in 14,000 crore rupees they have got funding in so many years, right? If you see the figures, Manoj bhai, 14,374 crores they have raised in last almost 10 years, right?
Now, don't be surprised to see billion-dollar acquisitions also, but the promoters are very sharp, and they know where the bang for the buck lies. And don't be surprised to have international acquisitions, because they have got very good domain knowledge and insights into consumer experiences.
Yeah, Manish.
Yes.
Yeah, see, like, it's something like you said, 1.50, कितना है ये 143,000 crore.
No, sir, 14,374
Yeah,
crores.
yeah, I got it. Okay. 14,000 crore is equal to something like $2 billion.
Correct. हाँ, बराबर है.
So अभी उनके बैलेंस शीट पे कैश कितना है?
मेरे हिसाब से सर 7-8 हजार का लॉस है.
यानी all these 14,000 crores they have already expended.
I would say yes.
Because this public issue was 9,000 crores by the company, and this Info Edge only offer for sale was only 375 crores, if I remember. 9,000 crores was a public issue. So 9,000 crores has gone to Zomato as a company.
Correct.
On top of this, 14,000 crore.
अभी क्या है, सितंबर का रिजल्ट आएगा ना तो बैलेंस शीट आएगा साथ में.
These are historic numbers, and now when the 9,000 crores has come in, part of it to the company. So company has a lot of money in its belly to grow further.
Best
they
part
will be
is
investing organically also in the digital platforms, because they had some teething issues in the last couple of months. They'll be investing in the digital IT space to strengthen the platforms, and also for big expansion by way of their commitments to growers and many other things, provided they get a good value out of it.
Correct. But,
and the Baiju is taking the risk, and they have shown the private equity investors, global investors are happy with the acquisition strategies, because once they see success, they want more success. And what better than Zomato when you have 155 times multiple in a few years.
Correct.
Very
But we
good
have to
slides.
see.
Very good
Definitely
insights to each of the slides. Each of the slides is really wonderful.
Manish,
Yeah.
just one more point. This what happened to this 14,000 crore? That is one point which I just came to my mind. And
I agree.
Yeah, and the second point is that 9,000 crores they have raised. I have not gone through, frankly, the these red herring prospectus. But then, if you have gone through, then possibly you can share the objective for this 9,000 crore. What is their plan to spend?
No, they just want to do expansion basically.
They have not given.
I tell you, no, they have not given. I tell you, Dushyant bhai, when September results will come out, they have to give balance sheet also, in which how much bank cash and bank is there with them, what is their shareholders funds are there, and how much money they have spent for the acquisition or for the investments or for the fixed asset additions. We'll all come to know easily.
Yeah.
And the key objective is to have money with the company, and also they have been having accounting losses. Commercially, these things are very good practices. Some of the best private equity investors look at a growth strategy, but when you have got accounting losses, you have to fund it through equity capital. You can't fund it through borrowings.
Correct.
So it takes care of that. You have cash which has come from the IPO, but there are accounting losses to be handled. So the company needs to have positive net worth and positive book value. And also some money for acquisitions and funding future short-term accounting losses. Contribution has started coming. And if the opportunity grows, the economy of scale comes in. And of course, there are many companies that can take over rather than brewing up of competition.
Correct.
Yeah, Manish, why I was saying, what Manoj said, I understand. But what I'm saying is this 14,000 crore, whatever has come as equity only, because all these private equity people, they give as equity only. They take some shares and give. So this total 14,000 crore has come as equity. Maybe some part is principal and larger part is premium. So as you said, we'll have to see exactly what is the position as per the balance sheet, that what is equity, what is the reserves.
यही सही बात है एकदम.
And I remember that some of the interviews and roadshows, the founder had said that they wanted to get into this grocery business and nutraceutical. So some money they would have earmarked for that.
अरे
And
सर
now
वहां से
that-
तो अभी
now-
वो
yeah,
दोनों
and-
बिजनेस में से तो निकल गए अभी.
now that they have exited from these two businesses, so we need to see what exactly they will do with this cash.
I have put one more slide. There is no corporate governance in this company also.
1
I tell
rupee
you,
per share goes into equity, balance goes into reserves.
correct.
Yeah,
So,
let's come to the next slide you're talking about.
yeah. These are the significant development after 31st March, where they have Grofers India they have bought, and like Grofers they have acquired basically, and so they have done some acquisition post 31st March. Sorry. Like this is the as per guidelines and everything we have done.
This is a very important plan post balance sheet date.
Post balance sheet date, if you see the revenue, the year ended 31st March 21, the revenue was 2,000 crore approximately, and in first 3 months they have achieved almost 45% revenue of the last year, but still they have made a very big loss. For the whole 2021, their losses were 490 crores, but in the first quarter they have lost 343 crores.
See the YOY percentage gain.
Probably because
look at the YOY percentage gain on revenue terms. It is
revenue terms are 45%, but
over 200% YOY percentage gains.
Correct. But
and if you look at it based on your gross margin business, based on your purchase gross margin business, there are huge gross margins. Of course, the employee cost, whether it is a fixed cost, you have to look at it as a strategy which Amazon did and a lot of global companies did. Look at employees cost as a fixed cost and look at gross margins. So you can understand why private equity is investing, right? Look at gross margins before the employees' expenses, which are by and large fixed.
Manoj bhai, I believe employee benefits are not here the fixed cost, because they are paying to the people who delivers more, they pay more money. So if you compare with the quarter June 2020, the employee costs have gone up by almost 200%, and their revenue has gone up by 300%. But if you compare with the whole financial year 2021, their employee costs have gone quite big, from 740 crores for the whole year. It has gone to almost 400 crores for the first 3 months. So the more you deliver, there is a more employee cost will definitely come.
Manish, I think the delivery expenses are going into other expenses because they are the delivery partners, as they say, and they are paid based on delivery. So they are delivery partners, and I think it would have gone into other expense. Whereas
मेरा ऐसा मानना नहीं है.
Correct. That has gone into other expenses.
Yeah, employee expense has gone up basically because they are accounted for ESOPs.
Could be, yes.
That's a very important thing. Yes, they are debited to.
I tell you, अगर आप दुष्यंत भाई, as per accounting standard, अगर आप कोई भी ESOP स्कीम 3 साल के लिए होता है, and 3 years में basically first year always cost is down. It is apportioned over the period. So my personal belief is that your point is well correct, that delivery cost would be put it in other expenses, but employee benefits also cover some part of, either they are covering some cost into employee benefits, or they have employed so many people in last 3 months for expansion, or you say as there is a ESOP cost.
Yeah, there is ESOP. I remember I read some article that they accounted for ESOPs in this quarter. And the delivery partners, as they are saying, they are totally independent and they are paid per delivery basis.
So we need to look at the revenues net of delivery expenses. That's how strategy is determined. So we don't have the delivery numbers. Once we have the delivery numbers, we delivery cost numbers. Then we have to look at the revenues. That is now we are talking about 9,166 crores in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That will show the real profitable growth for the company.
Correct. And
If that is a significant number.
And definitely we have to again discuss the September quarter figures, sir.
So valuations is all about beyond the numbers.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Definitely. See, these are the segmental report. Revenue from operations. If you see the India is almost 95%. Balance is UAE and balance is rest of world. So they have a major 95% of revenue comes only from India. So rather they say that we have all presence in 23 countries is not correct, right?
Yeah, Manish, they also exited 2-3 countries. Now they want to focus basically India and UAE.
Correct. That is there. I have added that in that slide also. See, this is that gross order valuation in June 2021 they have given. That gross order value comparison was from 10.09, 10.9, it has gone to 45. मुझे ये slide नहीं समझता है ठीक से, to be very precisely, but they said the highest ever of gross order value. This gross order value is basically after, I think, what they charge to us customer is a gross order value.
Absolutely.
And average order value or the average order value is what they actually give it to the restaurant. That is my belief. And so they basically say that the gross order value is going up quarter to quarter from 10.9 to 45.4. So they see a lot of potential into quarter to quarter wise.
Average order value is of the company. The gross order value is for the industry. You talked about India food delivery.
Correct. Perfect.
And one is it is growing because one is a market opportunity. And the last couple of years is mainly a very strong push due to the pandemic.
Perfect.
Yeah. So Manish, this figure gross order value is absolutely including everything. यानी before discount.
मतलब हम जो pay करते हैं.
This is a India food delivery macro number.
Yeah. So it is before discount. Suppose you ordered something like for 500. This is the value, but you might have paid 400.
Okay.
So this is a 500. It's order value. It's a gross order value. The name by itself, they say gross, means before any discount or anything.
See, they have given a definition that gross order value is defined as the total monetary value of the food delivery orders placed only on the platform in India, including taxes, customer delivery charges, gross of all discounts, but excluding
tips. So even it is before discount. Very clear.
Very clear. So हम अगर मैंने 500 रुपए का ऑर्डर दिया है तो 500 रुपया ग्रॉस ऑर्डर वैल्यू है. So I pay 400. 400 is not the GOV. 500 is the GOV, right?
Correct. And when you say 400, out of say 400, 350 goes to say restaurant.
Okay.
Then revenue for Zomato will be only 50.
So that is the average order value, right?
The average order value will be coming out of these only 45 billion. But I'm talking about what is revenue to Zomato. Revenue to Zomato is
50 रुपया revenue है उसका.
Yeah, correct.
This is the slide from
this is very interesting. The red figures.
Perspective. See, ICICI gave a target of 220 rupees. Morgan Stanley 140. Goldman Sachs 180. UBS 165. Bernstein 170. Jefferies 170. JM Financials 170. These are all July-August figures. But I think day before yesterday, when the CEO resigns, you know that one CEO resigns, key managerial personnel resigns from the company, and then JP Morgan has given a target of 120 rupees. So
it was before the announcement for the GST in the pink papers.
Even that,
today. After that comes, you have to have a different target.
Correct.
GST
And
is
after the
revenue.
quarter number comes, another there'll be all the targets should be revised.
Yeah, but then
And cents will come hopefully.
GST is a revenue neutral. So that is not going to affect even the customer price. What they have done is earlier the restaurant was charging 5% to Zomato. Okay, now what they have come out, what this GST council realized that a lot of restaurants are not collecting GST.
Okay.
And they are not registered and they are not paying to the government.
There are two parts. One is a digital business, one is a off digital cash business.
So they also realize that some restaurants they collect, but they don't pay. So, you know, they want to come out of all these anomaly. So now they put the responsibility on these food ordering aggregators that they, instead of hotel charging, they will charge.
So hotel will not charge anything to Zomato?
Yes. Hotel won't charge, they will charge. So as a customer level, the cost is not going up.
But I believe that, but Dushyant bhai, the customer will pay 5% extra, na?
No. See, if 100 rupees ka aapne order kiya, hotel was to charge you 105.
Okay.
And they were to sell you at 105. Now hotel will charge Zomato 100 only, and Zomato will charge you 105.
So from customer viewpoint, there is no difference.
Absolutely.
But I think Zomato का margin 5% कम नहीं हो जाएगा?
नहीं, वो 5 तो तुमसे लेके दे रहा है ना. पहले वो होटल को देता था, अभी वो तुमसे लेके दे रहा है.
ठीक है. Fine.
So now what has happened is that in the whole exercise, the government is the only gainer. Why? Because now Zomato will have to pay on the total delivery, whereas earlier lot of restaurants were not paying.
Correct.
So the only difference will be to the hotels will lose, in the sense those unscrupulous hotels, restaurants who were collecting and not paying.
So it's basically, I would say, from unorganized sector से organized sector बन गया है.
Yes, absolutely. Organized हो गया.
Organized हो गया है.
Yeah, एक one stroke में organized हो गया.
So listing data we all know basically.
अरे before that, यार, before this slide, what is the average of these all 7-8 targets?
I would say around 160. But अगर 120 वाले को छोड़ दो, तो 150, 160 average price बनता है.
अच्छा, और जो हमारे वर्ल्ड वेल नोन जो वैल्यूएशन एक्सपर्ट है दामोदरन,
सर उसका भी स्लाइड है, उसको भी डिस्कस करेंगे ना अपन.
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड.
वी आर इन थर्ड, अभी तो 30 स्लाइड हुआ है और 15 स्लाइड बाकी है सर.
वेरी गुड, वेरी एक्सीलेंट, वेरी एलोबोरेट प्रिपरेशन.
यस, थैंक यू. वी ऑल नो द
deep dive as usual.
Thank you.
All IPOs and industry sectors.
See, it was listed at 82% premium at 138 rupees. And the best part, it's the achievement, I would say, that Zomato stock reached a market capitalization of 1 lakh crore, leaving behind companies such as Tata Motors, Vedanta, Indian Oil, and Mahindra, all profit generating companies. This is a very good statement. But it's like, so it's a valuation game. It's not a profit and loss game, basically. And but at the same time, if you see that our big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has expressed concerns about Zomato, saying that he would rather invest in already established business. He do not like to invest in a business like Zomato. So Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has invested in many startups, as we know, but he has not invested in Zomato. What is positive point for high valuation? Zomato operates in a highly under-penetrated market where the total food consumption in India is only 8% to 9% from restaurants, of which only 8% is online food delivery. So 100 में से 1000 में से एक्चुअली खाली 90 लोग होटल में खाते हैं, उसमें से भी 90 में से केवल 10 लोग ऑनलाइन फूड डिलीवरी में पार्ट लेते हैं, राइट? So out of every 1000 people, only 8 to 9% person only do a online food delivery order, basically. So this
shows the opportunity and the potential of the growth for the business
whether
Correct.
Zomato or Swiggy or other players, whether they are in macro markets or in small urban areas or in regions.
Perfect.
Huge,
So,
huge potential and growing, very fast growth trajectory.
so from this
So
slide,
this
we
shows
can
very good valuations are here to stay for good performing companies with good consumer insights and which are giving good customer experiences.
correct.
Value
And if you
driven
see,
companies.
and if you see that this new age digital platform, see now all of us have come on digital platforms to smartphones. So at present, we are involving on the back of favorable macroeconomics, changing demographic profile, and rising adoption of tech infrastructure. So we all are now adopting the all technical infrastructure through smartphones. That is why they said they are very positive about high valuation and growth. Zomato can transform the eating habits of 1.36 billion people in India, whereas 90% of the population doesn't eat at restaurants. Compare that to China, where 58% of people routinely at restaurants. So this statement shows we have a lot of growth is there for this kind of platform.
This also shows a huge opportunity for homemade startups because the company is basically a delivery service.
Perfect.
So there can be millions of entrepreneurs who cook at home, and they can take use of the eating habits of consumers in India who like to eat at home instead of restaurants.
And what is negative points about high valuation? Predicting a growth trajectory at this juncture is a little tricky for the next few years. The valuation also appears expensive at 25 times of FY21 enterprise value to sales compared to an average of 9.6 times of our global peers and 11.6 times for Indian quick restaurants. Though value such early stage business on a plain vanilla financial metrics might not give the right picture and may look distorted. So this is a very technical kind of a statement, which is a negative remark for high valuation of Zomato. Another point is there is a big competition. Zomato has a big competition from Swiggy and Amazon. Though Amazon has not much come in the market, but Amazon has a capability to come on a big scale as a competitor to Zomato. This is 2 points are very negative about Zomato's high valuation. This is one comparison between Zomato and Swiggy. Swiggy funding, there is a 2.4 billion funding has done till today. Zomato has done 2.1 billion funding till today. Swiggy valuation is 5 billion, whereas Zomato valuation is 5.4 billion. Swiggy has 240,000 delivery partners, whereas Zomato has 161,000 delivery partners. Swiggy has covered 523 cities, whereas Zomato has covered 526 cities. Swiggy has 160,000 plus restaurants, whereas Zomato has now 350,000 restaurants covered under its business. And more or less, Swiggy has more, turnover compared to Zomato, and both the companies have made a handsome loss in terms of money. So Swiggy looks like a very big competitor to Zomato, whereas figures for Amazon is not there in the public domain, and at the same time, Amazon is still starting. It has not come into that kind of scale where it can compete to the Swiggy and Zomato both. This is what the famous, economics Ashwath Damodaran comments, where he says that, I think it is a hubris to dismiss those who invested in Zomato at ₹72 per share or higher as a speculator or ill-informed, since there are plausible stories that get you to values higher than ₹100 per share. That was Ashwath has brought in his blog. That said, given my story and valuation for the company, I think at a 70-75 per share, the stock looks overvalued to me. So Mr. Ashwath says even 70-75 is an overvaluation, whereas current market price is almost, I think yesterday it was closed as 132. So what stock exchange price is almost double that, even there Mr. Ashwath thinks this is an overvaluation.
Oh, this is a learning for valuers like him, with a closed mindset and who look at more in history. So it's a learning for all savvy investors, and the real life stories make a big difference.
Perfect. And even he feels that this Zomato's business model is neither innovative nor a groundbreaking, but resembles other such platforms across the world. The allure to investors comes from Zomato's core market in India and the potential for growth in that market. So he also believes that there is a potentiality of growth in the Indian market. Food delivery service penetration in India is low when compared to markets such as the United States and drastically low when compared to China. The Zomato story, or at least the upbeat version of it, is that the Indian food delivery restaurants market will grow as Indians become more prosperous and have an increased online access. So
yeah, very clearly he is also hinting at the economic condition of the people.
Perfect.
So when Indians become more prosperous, so when the economic prosperity comes, you have a money power, spending power.
Correct.
And the need to spend.
The need to spend, right?
Yeah. But going by what valuation and the comments he has given, see what he has said, that there are a lot of people who have paid more than this. Now this is true. This is true in any case, in any share. Suppose, for example, you take care of, say, Reliance, you take say example of, say, Infosys. According to you, suppose it is, say, value is 1,500, but market is quoting, say, 2,000. You can't help it. And that is why there are not so many buyers in every share, only few buyers. Otherwise, everybody will buy every share.
Correct.
I would say he's one view only. I mean, that what he feels, that's the thing. Because, the aggressive buyers will have to buy at higher price.
Sir, always, investors have a different mindset.
Yeah. And that's why, and that's why now they say that Indian market is overpriced.
Yes. So everybody has their own set of minds.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? I think differently, you think differently, Manoj bhai is thinking differently.
Yeah.
So
markets should get more overpriced, because you have to look at the global markets today. India is, we have been talking about it since a couple of years. India growth story will continue. It is gathering much more momentum, and the BSE executive has already announced we are today in the top 5. We have beaten France, and with the disturbances and controversial issues, opacity in China, India will move much ahead, much faster. Time will tell. Of course, small corrections will keep on coming, but this gives opportunities for people who have look at valuations from the front side. So there are much more opportunities. Look at Byju's, what they are doing. So huge opportunities. It is not only the domestic opportunities, it's a global market share game and global strategies.
Perfect. Mr. Ashwath has also, he has made some kind of data where he is comparing India, China, USA, and European Union. So he's given what are the population, what is per capita GDP, where our per capita GDP is only $2,000, whereas China, United States, and EU countries are much higher than us. This is the reason they are able to spend more number of restaurants. India have a 10 lakh restaurants almost approximately, whereas China is 90 lakhs restaurants. United States have 6,60,000 restaurants, and EU has almost 8,90,000 restaurants. So China basically, because if we compare India and China, our population is almost at par now. So still, Indian market can definitely go ahead, and they have a definitely growth. This is the table developed by Mr. Ashwath. That way, if you see, Indian figures are much lower than compared to China, United States, and European Union.
So as the GDP keeps on growing, this food ordering market will also keep on growing because direct correlation.
Only the question is profitability.
Profitability will come with so much of volume.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
I still feel, Dushyant, by next 3 years, Zomato will not make a profit.
3 nahi 5.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. The thing is, GDP जो या ये slide में है, Indian GDP $2.71 trillion. It has, because of the pandemic, has come down to close to 2.
Yeah.
Okay, it is 1.9 or something. I read one estimate. So I would say close to 2. So India will take another 1 or 2 years to recoup to come to the level of 2019.
Correct.
Before pandemic, 1920.
Correct.
Okay, so that 1.5 years will go in recouping, and then the progress will come.
Correct.
So when we are at say 5 trillion economy, our customers eating out will definitely double.
Perfect analysis.
This is very good. You are looked at a global comparison. India is a small market.
There is one. This slide is also from Mr. Ashwath. He says why there is a slow growth, because he says that there is nothing breakout जैसा कोई चीज नहीं है Zomato में. Reasons for slow growth is basically a lower per capita income, less digital reach out by Indian people, and eating habits. So all these 3 factors, if we compare India with US, China, and European Union, his argument is very correct. Only thing is, unless these 3 factors improve, online food delivery business will not improve. Or all these 3 or improvement on online food delivery is dependent on these 3 factors. That is very common. Correct. This they have given quarter-wise order, but I believe this is not so valuable because 2020-21 was a pandemic. COVID shutdown के कारण सब बंद था. So definitely, quarter 1, quarter 2 of 2020-21 was bad actually. So the figures are not actually comparable from quarter to quarter. Rather, that quarter 1 figures what given on the stock exchange was very good. Mr. Ashwath has developed these figures. He has made some kind of Excel sheet where he finally comes with a value of 41 rupees per share. He says the valuation of Zomato is 41 rupees per share. It is a very big working. He has done it. Difficult to discuss, but he has done a good work basically. Now comes to a
Look beyond the Excel sheet. No, valuations goes beyond the progression and the Excel numbers.
Correct. The latest filing, what they have given on 19th August, that they have USA subsidiary बंद कर दिया उन्होंने.
This is very important. Looking at the latest announcements and exchanges.
1st September ko they have announced that another company in Singapore they have closed down. Zomato UK Limited also they have closed down. They were not material subsidiary as per their filing. On 12th September, they have done another filing that online food delivery platform Zomato has decided to stop its grocery delivery services from September 17th, mainly on account of gaps in order fulfillment leading to poor customer experience. So they directly, indirectly say we are not able to manage the grocery delivery platform. So they have closed down this. Rather in public issue, in road show, they have said that we are investing in the grocery business. Even on another day, they say after grocery division, Zomato shut down nutraceutical business. So they have done this also.
This is very vital. Yeah.
This is another. Zomato's top executive Gaurav Gupta has decided to quit the company after 6 years. He joined in 2015 and has been inducted as a founder member of the Zomato. Mr. Gupta taken on the role of spokesperson of Zomato doing media and investor interactions ahead of its IPO. As the head of supply, Gupta was overseeing restaurant partner management across Zomato's food delivery and dining out businesses. Gupta was key managerial person, but there is no disclosure on the stock exchange. This has happened on 15th. I saw it yesterday also. Yes, still yesterday, Zomato has not informed the stock exchange at all. So this is a clear-cut violation of corporate governance. The SEBI rule says that if any key managerial personnel or any material things happens in the company has to immediately inform the stock exchange, but not within 24 hours. Not like within 24 hours, they have to put a note to the stock exchange. Here in after 3 days also, Zomato has not put any information to the stock exchange. So this is really bad thing basically from a technical company like this with a professional company like this. What do you say?
Yeah, Dushyant, your views on this?
I was waiting for your view anyway. The thing is, see, go to the previous slide, Manish.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Mr. Gupta, he was not the original promoter.
Yes.
He was only employee.
Correct.
Yeah, but then since he was, holding and handling a very key role, he was, kind of upgraded as a kind of a promoter. Founder, sorry, as a founder. So founder was, in his case, was not the correct way as the SEBI, defines promoter. Okay. Yeah, promoter means one has definitely acquired, say, at least majority share and thing like that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So a second thing, management control. So both these criteria were not applicable to him. And the reason why he's resigned is that there is some kind of a disagreement with the main promoter, Dipinder
Goyal.
Yeah, Dipinder Goyal for getting into this grocery business and nutraceutical, because that was a brainchild of Mr. Gupta.
Correct.
Yeah. So now since two businesses were closed and there must be some, discussion or argument on this particular aspect, and they would not have got into in the same wavelength. So he has resigned. That's what I feel.
Correct. You are right. I agree with you fully.
So coming to your point of corporate governance, I would say, strictly will it come in that criteria?
So he was key managerial person.
Was it defined or a company had declared that way? That is a key person.
Yeah. That was, I read in some kind of in one of the article that he was a key managerial personnel, and as per the SEBI rule, any KMP leaves the company, management has to inform stock exchange.
Yeah, in that case, if he is declared as a KMP, then they should have been intimated.
Anyway, a point, I would say that this kind of a technological company, professional management company, how they can forget this kind of thing?
There are a couple of aspects coming. One is Dushyant ji, you talked about some disagreements. Now, the public is not aware of disagreements. Neither Dipinder Goyal mentioned about it in his message. and neither GG, Gaurav Gupta mentioned about it. They talked about moving on, and of course, the moving on for GG Gupta has been for GG. That's what Gaurav Gupta is. He is moving on at the right time. Maybe he'll invest in many other startups, and if not multiply huge, but at least even if he gets 2x, 3x, 4x, whatever he gets or ahead is good for him and good for the stakeholders who participate with him. But the point is, on the disclosure and the governance issue, which very clearly it has been articulated, is Deepinder Goyal has done a tweet disclosure, Fatak say, and the whole stakeholders are informed. And also the media covered this also very well. So this is public disclosure. Whether he feels this disclosure is far superior, then the chief compliance officer, whoever he is, to inform the stock exchanges. Is that sufficient, full and superior disclosure? A tweet. But tweet is far better. The way stock exchanges work. Stock exchanges have asked Reliance Capital the reasons for the price movement. And still there is no update on that. It comes with a lag. And
on a lighter side, how will they know who has bought shares and why they bought shares? How company will know? In case of
no, sir, they know it. नहीं, Dushyant bhai, मैं आपको बोलता हूँ. My friend is working in stock exchange in listing department. He says we can get a report in 24 hours. अगर बहुत बड़ी movement हुई है और बहुत बड़े quantity में हुई है, तो we be able to find out who has bought.
Yeah, they can find out. No. What I'm saying, they can find out, but company cannot comment why the so and so entity has bought or sold.
That is different thing. I agree, fully agree. But here, my point is also same as what Manoj bhai says. If first company has to disclose to the SEBI, to the stock exchange, they cannot do a tweeting business like this. I am pure correctly. I am rather surprised why SEBI has not taken any action. So tomorrow everybody will simply tweet, na? Why you need a stock exchange? Sir,
and a tweet can be deleted also.
A tweet can be deleted also.
No. So this tweeting is maybe it can be additional. It cannot be instead of telling stock exchange. If the stock exchange is required to be told, they should be intimated.
They should be intimated. Correct. But perfect. We are on the same page.
There is something called irrational exuberance when the valuations go up. So some people feel various things can be managed, including non-compliances.
Let's see, like as we discussed today, ना एक बार September के results आएंगे तो we will discuss it along with Santosh Maller. इसका मतलब we'll prepare PPT of this PowerPoint presentation on September results also, where we'll discuss all this gross value order and all these things, all the figures what we have in mind कि पैसा कहाँ से आया और कहाँ चला गया, right, Dushyant bhai?
Yeah, that will be interesting. But let me tell you one thing. The serious investor don't bother about quarterly results because they have taken the position looking at maybe what is 4 years, 5 years hence.
Correct.
Next quarter is more vital. Then 4 years, 5 years.
For our academic purpose, yes, next quarter we can discuss. But then otherwise, investment purpose, those who want to invest will anyway invest now or whenever they want.
Correct. Agreed. But if you see the recent price target of 125 JP Morgan, I believe that somebody will give a target of 100 rupees next week, surely.
Is that because of the corporate governance issues or is it because of the proposed tax on such platforms?
I believe both the things.
I don't think any of this. Because the tax is not a tax at all. It's only a change of charging. It's not a tax at all. So it's having no impact. And corporate governance, I yet to come across any serious thing.
Let's see. Let us see.
Yeah.
But these are important red signals, red flags, as people call it.
So this presentation is over now. I have covered around 43 slides.
What happened to remaining 2? You said 45, no?
नहीं सर, 4 तो अपना कॉमन है ना सर.
Okay, okay, वो भी हो गया.
This is really wonderful. We have done, you have done more than enough justice. What was planned as 20 minutes and 40 minutes, much more than 1.5 hours, a full blown, one of the best outstanding discussions on valuations and looking at the futuristic sector, the latest sector, and a company, a startup, and indeed not a small market cap, directly a big leap into mid-cap game, over 1 lakh crores.
Over
and
1 lakh
with ambitious ambitions to be a large cap. Hopefully they do it very soon. And the difference among the two competitors, which was mentioned in the slides, what is the difference? The difference is raising the funds in the IPO at the right time. What the next company will do, when the next IPO will come, how much will they get, what pricing is to be looked after, again with a deep dive. It's really wonderful. I think it should be possible, since we are done, stretched out with excellence treatment to the topic. We can cover the remaining IPOs maybe in much more detail in the next weekend. Is that fine?
I have no issue.
We can
But
do
then
it
one IPO coming next
do
week.
it post listing and the presentations with the latest one. But Manish, possibly you can speak for about 5 minutes on both the IPOs. Presentation we'll do next time. Just a basic 5 minutes, 2 minutes each on each of them before he gives his concluding remarks. For the day.
See, basically, there were 2 IPOs. Last week was Sanjera Engineering IPO tha, wo chala gaya. Friday was the last day. And this Paras Defense, they are coming, I think, on 21st of September to 24th. I think 3 din chalu rahega. Sanjera was a good company. It is basically, it has it's manufacturing all automotive products, supplying to the 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers, and the passenger vehicles. It has around 15 factories all over India, which around 9 in the Bangalore itself. And they are the main competitor to the companies like Minda Industries, Sharda Motors, some kind of, Bajaj companies. They are the main competitors. And these people are really making lot of products for all the vehicles which goes into inside. Only thing was that Sanjera was comparatively a high priced IPO. But I tell you my experience, अगर मैं Sanjera को compare करता हूँ, I was holding shares of one company, Sharda Motors. Even I was holding Minda. Sharda Motors, which was, price was around 700, 800 per share of 10 face value. Today it is 2 rupees face value and prices around, I forgot the price, but it's almost 5 times it has gone from the original price in 5 to 6 years. One can definitely invest in Sanjera for a long term. And the best, prospectus I have read is Sanjera in last 3 months. They have given all the information very nicely about the industry, about their own company, and company is very professionally managed. There are 2-3 promoters and none of their family business, none of their family members are working in the company till date. It's around 30-year-old company, started in 1985 somewhere. And let's see what price it will open. It has, 750 rupees में कुछ public issue किया है. I believe it's a very good company and one can definitely, over the period, get a good appreciation on the share value.
Very good insights, sir. Paras is indeed also a very strong player in defense. Can we have some thoughts on the latest telecom relief package, which we had discussed in the beginning? What impact it will have on the sector? and players, foreign players, domestic players, and a new government approach. And particularly the announcement of Kumar Birla and the partners Vodafone and other players also, that is Airtel and Jio.
Manoj, just a minute before that, Manish, this Paras, I went through the details and I feel the issue seems to be reasonably good.
But somehow they have not given much information.
Manish, just keep your last slide on of Zomato valuations.
Okay.
Yeah, put it. Let it be. Let a screen be there.
No,
And
that I
is the
can do.
best
I
slide.
can open Paras
With your name. Yeah.
We can open Paras.
Paras ka rakho.
No, that's okay. No, we are not covering that Zomato one with your name.
Acha, okay, 1 minute.
Yeah, so something is there on the screen, and that is the best one. A lot of hard work by you, so that it covers the subject of valuation trends.
Paras is a good company. I fully agree, Dushyant bhai.
Yeah. Let this be on. Yeah, we can have an open house discussion on any topic. Yeah.
See, talking about Paras, I thought it's a very good company, but the revenue is stabilized and it's not going up. And it is slightly higher price. Otherwise, it seems to be a good company.
Correct.
So pricing is the only thing. The pricing is slightly on the higher side. The 10-20% higher side.
Definitely, like Samsera का भी 500 के अंदर अगर public issue price होता तो बहुत sensible था. So same story with Paras. And I believe basically, last week, jo ME Organics, people have got the 100% appreciation now. 610 रुपए में invest public issue किया था. Today price is 1200 rupees. So again, that I think that public issue momentum has come up. Even if you see the Vijaya Diagnostics, which given at 540 rupees, yesterday price was 600 plus something. So again that बीच में जो वो 3-4 इश्यू एक साथ आए थे और सब एकदम without premium list हुए थे, that momentum has again changed little bit.
Yeah. Because
the pricing and valuations was mentioned of this defense player also, Paras. The explanation given by the company is the company was privileged to get a pre-IPO placement at the same price. So if there are savvy investors taking in stake at that price, can we have the same? Manish, just keep the same slide on. Don't put any other slide. We are at the closing of the session. The valuation one, yellow color.
Yeah. 1 minute. Sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So pre-IPO placement at the same price. So that is the reason, explanation given for the high pricing. Of course, there is a frenzy in the market, and yesterday indeed was a record day, best week in the market, where the Indian markets are reaching all-time high. The US markets are also reaching all-time high, and the market is firing on all the cylinders.
Perfect. That is a very big achievement that we have become 6th largest stock exchange in world. We have just above France.
Now, can we have some thoughts before final winding up on the latest developments in the telecom sector? Manish, your thoughts?
My thoughts are very clear.
And the companies in the sector.
See, we have 3 companies. Like main issue is with Vodafone Idea. So I would say that at least Vodafone Idea has got some, whether they will be able to sustain now for a few more, you can say months or you can say years, and they will be able to pay their dues over the period of time. But the main point, all these telecom companies, their average revenue per user should go up actually. Unless that thing will happen, telecom sector will not survive like this. This is all temporary kind of measures government has taken, it is really good. At the same time, we at least need these three companies to survive in India. Suppose Vodafone Idea closed down tomorrow, then these two people company will make a monopoly out of it. And they will increase that revenue, they will increase their charges like anything. So it is altogether good for the consumers as well as for the government, as well as for the economy, that Vodafone Idea should continue and these three companies should continue. My main point is that average revenue per users should go up, which is around 140 rupees per month, should go up to around more than 200 rupees per month. Then only it can have a survival.
Well, point is mentioned. It is of course not temporary at all because there is a clear moratorium of 4 years. So it is a substantial relief which the whole industry has welcomed.
I also welcome this.
Top managements and global partners have also welcomed as a big booster, not only for the industry but for India. Another thing, what was mentioned in terms of the ARPUs, the price, that is a delight for the customer when you are getting, if Zomato is giving 50% discount and gets a 1 lakh crore market cap. So little appetizer for the customer. Ultimately, it creates a market and a big digital story. And a new relief package also drives the forthcoming auctions of the 5G, which will bring India at #1 with the homegrown technology due to the long efforts of Jio to be not only a buyer in technology, which was coming in from various countries, including China, to export technology. So, and such technology is not only built in, but is being tested in a very large market. That large market is due to a lower pricing. Initially, of course, it was free pricing, not 50% discount like Zomato, and on low ARPUs. But as one of the promoters says, that digital is a new oil. And now it is digital also and oil also. दोनों हाथ घी में हैं बोलते हैं, right?
Right.
And when the Vodafone top guy welcomes this, so would they invest? Would Vodafone Idea get investment now? Much delayed investment because they need to capitalize it. And the lenders to VI, including SBI, significant amount. They are smiling and they got record valuations this week. So lots of implications. Not only for the sector, but for the industry also, the banks also, the finance companies also.
Yeah, definitely. This kind of, जो भी relief मिला है, it is good for everyone, not for the company only.
So this is indeed great. Can we have, as usual, concluding remarks and final vote of thanks by Mr. Dushyant Shah?
Yeah, Manoj, before thanks and all, on this telecom package.
Your observations on all the topics, including
I will talk about telecom package because that is the current topic we are discussing. See, this telecom package has come at a right time. It could not have come later. Why? Because after September, Vodafone, payment for the spectrum was due to the government, and had this package not come now, that Vodafone would not have been in a position to pay to the government after September. So it has come at the right nick of time. Having said that, the package is a forward-looking one. It is not helping any company for the past, but it is going to go forward. They have streamlined, or I would say they have corrected so many of the anomalies which were already existing in the system. For example, in the AGR definition, they were including non-telecom revenue, which they have removed. For the non-payment of these spectrum and license fees and these AGR fees in time, they were leaving interest plus penalty plus interest on penalty. So that penalty and interest of penalty has also been done away with. The spectrum duration period has been increased from 20 to 30 years. The spectrum sale and surrender has been allowed. So all these are required from day one. So indirectly, I would say the whole scenario is now corrected. Rather than reform, I would say it is kind of coming to the situation which should have been there. So देर से आए लेकिन दुरुस्त आए. So I would put it in that way, that now that all these hiccups from the government side were there, or all the blocks speed breakers were there, from the government side they have done their best to give the opportunity for all the telecom companies present and future, so that the Indian telecom sector grows in a very healthy way. Coming to individual companies, I think Reliance is not having any issue. Airtel is having comfortable this financial position, and they are going to raise something like 21,000 crores. So their fund position is quite comfortable. And anyway, their AGR dues were not much, around I think 18 or 19,000 crore they have to pay. Now coming back to the one and only company which was desperately needing some kind of a relief was Vodafone Idea. Vodafone Idea has totally, as per the latest whatever report I read and understood, is that total liability is 1.91 lakh crore. The total outstanding liability is 1.91 lakh crore. And surprisingly, out of this, 1.61 lakh crore is due to the government. To the banks, it is only about 23,400 crore, if some numbers I have read are correct. So 23,400 crore out of 1,91,000 crore. So the larger chunk was due to the government, and in fact the government was more at a stake had Vodafone not survived. Okay, so having said that, it's a big relief for Vodafone, because 4-year moratorium, now they can use some cash flow for augmenting their facilities and infrastructure, and they can retain whatever customers they have. The only thing which this telecom package is not done is improving the P&L of the company. Now P&L of the company will increase only by one and only way, is that increase in what you call is ARP or ARPU, average revenue per user. So ARPU is now not in a government's hand. It is now within the industry. They have to come to some kind of a understanding that what should be the minimum charge and thing like that. And what the comments have come after the package was announced. Going by that, I think all the promoters of all the three major players are now thinking that they should, the industry should come together, and possibly going forward, if there is some understanding on some kind of a minimum base charge to be charged a tariff, then it will help all the companies and specifically Vodafone.
Now, one point which is coming in, ARPU is in the hands of the government, because Mr. Birla as well as Mr. Mittal have been lobbying for a floor price. So if they get a higher floor price based on cost instead of predatory pricing, then the PNL, government has a significant role to play in the PNL also. Another point which comes out of discussions the industry has been having is the calculation of the AGR on which the government makes a revenue, DOT makes revenue. The government has relented and made a change, which is very important signal, welcome signal. The calculation of AGR now is very transparent, and one can do pricing of the service based on cost clarity. Earlier, there were lots of issues, so companies did pricing, and at which certain judgments came or certain demands came from the departments of the government. So there is relent, a sense of better vice counsel has prevailed. So that also affects the PNL significantly. But of course, in this case, it is a future PNL. What matters is the balance sheet repairing for VI. How much investments the promoters currently are putting in? Birla Group, Vodafone, or of course, there are many other players with deep pockets who are ready to jump in the bandwagon and bring in money at their own terms and conditions. Another important aspect, which is there, government is willing to be a ready partner, equity player in Vodafone. The borrowings of Vodafone are not very high. It is a matter of accounting. Borrowings are below 30,000 crores. Borrowings of other companies are much, much higher. So you look at the borrowings is to capitalization ratio, including the fundraising, it will be balanced, the balance sheet will be very, very strong. And as government dues are there, which were earlier a contingent liability, ultimately accounting standards and provisions and suggestions from auditors made a difference on how these are accounted as liabilities. But the capital of the company, the equity needs to be boosted up. Where the money will come from and on what terms and condition, we'll all have to look at it and discuss as and when it comes as a part of latest developments.
Yeah,
very good insights by you. Yes.
And Manoj, I would add one more thing. In a case of Vodafone, there are 2-3 further developments which can also kind of we'll have to watch out for. The one is that their review petition, which is already lying with Supreme Court for arithmetic correction in the AGR revenues of the past, because the earlier Supreme Court judgment has very clearly said that nothing doing, no liability can be reworked and nothing can be done. But arithmetical, if the review petition, if it is kind of accepted, that it will be a big relief for Vodafone. Then number two, if the investors they are scouting, say with this clarity, if the investors also kind of chip in some way, which already they got the AGM approval of 25,000 crore, and if the investors are forthcoming, then possibly I would say that maybe the promoters may also put in some money, because when the future directions are clear and when the investment climate is clear, then possibly they may think of putting in. And ultimately, as you said, ARPU is a function of the cost plus kind of a thing. So TRAI, which has all along, allowed this predatory pricing. Now it is now lying in the, I would say the ball is lying in TRAI's court, that if they come out with some kind of a floor pricing based on some cost or cost criteria, if that comes, then I think Vodafone health will improve like anything.
So it is now telecom industry is back into fast gear.
Will be
India growth story.
At least if the TRAI comes out with a floor pricing, then I think a lot of investors will come forward. So Manish, I think wonderful preparation, and after a lot of wait, you could complete your presentation on Zomato.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, and in earlier presentations also by Santosh Maller, and then this
Vijay Wadhwani.
Vijay Wadhwani and all, because Wadhwani's I missed because I joined a little late. But afterwards, we're going by the comments and question answers, I realized that that was also very nice, and Mr. Narendra's input also was quite useful.
Also Mr. Kannan's input on bad bank.
So basically, so forensic audit and this IBC and all, these how these corporate frauds and these NPS resolution and all is a big challenge for the economy and the banks and the lenders. I think those aspects were very nicely covered, and that was great. So we had quite useful sessions today.
Yeah, sir, definitely.
So we'll close with that note.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know who is host. I am the only host today. Chalo. I will close it.